Coming to you live from the Helm House, the Popular Cinema Podcast. I'm your co-host, Payne.
And I'm Bill.
And welcome to episode 41.
Hey.
Did you like
Nice.
that?
I did. Nice.
Anyway, good afternoon, Bill. Welcome
Hello.
to March 26th of 2017.
Hi. Once we get into the big review that we have later on for the trailer for Justice League, I wanted to mention that it's been exactly 1 year since Batman vs. Superman came out this weekend. Yesterday was the 1 year anniversary, which explains why on a non-news weekend there was all this Justice League news that popped out. So.
Oh, did Twitter help you figure that out?
It did. Twitter helps me figure out most of my life anymore.
You know what? That's actually a very interesting tidbit because we were just talking about that earlier in the week, like Thursday or Wednesday. We're sitting there going, "Why would you release a major trailer on a Saturday when you would like to have the news cycle? Like you would probably think you would want to get that released on a Monday morning, Monday afternoon,
Right.
and then have everybody buzzing about it during the week."
Yeah, there was buzz that there was going to be a release of it. I think next week is WonderCon. But nope, it hit yesterday, and the internet broke.
Well, it did. I don't. Okay. Anyway, well, we're going to be talking about that today. Is what you're saying?
Okay. Right.
All right. We have a lot of things on tap here, but how was your weekend?
It was fine actually. It was chock-a-block full of comic book movie news, which was kind of surprising and interesting. And like I said, on a non-convention weekend, like you had all this stuff pop out. Like the Spider-Man put out three posters, and Guardians of the Galaxy put out 10 posters, and of course there was the 8 posters from the Justice League and the trailer. I felt like it was like San Diego Comic-Con time, but it's only March. So that was the excitement for my weekend.
I'm sure you were perusing through all that stuff. Do you peruse through that on your phone, or are you actually pulling up the tablet or the computer to actually look at the gloriousness that those posters are?
Well, here's what I actually do. I actually have a flash drive that I stick into my Roku, and when I download the ultra high resolution of these pictures, I view it on my 60 or my 55-inch in my bedroom in HD 4K. It's glorious! So glorious. Everything, like the colors just pop right out at you. It's almost like 3D imaging. It's gorgeous. So that's what I do.
I don't even know how long something like that would take.
It doesn't take any time. I mean, it's just like you stick it in a file on your flash, then you stick the flash in the Roku, and then you just pop up the photos. But, I like to see them big, and so that's as big as it gets in this house, so.
All right. Anyway, so.
You know what else is really cool, just as another tidbit, is that, they make these ultra high def resolution wallpapers now. Like, computer wallpapers, only they're so high def that they're like 4K or 8K sometimes. And then they take up the whole screen of your TV when you put it on your Roku stick. That's also glorious. Okay, I'm done geeking out now.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's like you're very well versed in this visual imagery stuff for you.
It's a big thing for me.
I understand. Yeah. I mean, okay. Did you see any movies this weekend?
I did. I actually saw 3/4 of the Power Rangers movie.
What do you mean 3/4?
Oh, I walked out. That's what I mean.
Oh my goodness! I know we haven't talked since. Did you see it on Friday or Saturday?
I saw it Friday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's not too often that you walk out on something anymore.
It is not. It is not. So that tells you how I feel about it, basically.
All right. Well, give me a synopsis then.
John Hughes movie without the John Hughes wit in the script. Superpower movie without any costumes or superpowers, like a Netflix show, until about 10 minutes before the movie's over. I'm all for campy and cartoony superheroes with bright colors. That is not a problem for me. But this was even too much for me.
So
felt like I was watching an episode of Romper Room.
an episode of Romper Room. So it was real basic.
It was very basic, very dull, and boring for 90% of the movie. And then by the time they finally get to the costumes, I didn't care anymore.
So you walked out right when they put on their costumes.
Right? I tried to wait until like to see what they were going to do with the costumes and if there was like some like action that was going to finally happen in this movie. And after the action came on and they got in the Dinozords or the Zorazords or whatever the fuck those Zords are. Um and it still didn't get any better. So I figured, well, I've seen the money shots now, I can go.
Did you like Rita Repulsa? Is that her
No.
name?
Yes. No. She, oh, I don't know how to explain it. You know, you complain with shit to me about like Catwoman and basic villainy like characters that don't have any depth or
Yeah, Florida
dimension.
Fury and all that stuff.
Right. Her big thing, Rita Repulsa, was to extract the gold from like anywhere she could find it. Most of the time, it would be like in the teeth of people's mouths. And she got up enough gold to build up the Zortan or whatever it's called, the big giant gold monster that, you know, is like the what's that thing from Thor? One.
What are you talking about? From the first Thor, the metal
Yes.
creature?
Yeah, the metal creature. It was like that, only made out of gold, and she was getting this much gold from like I guess people's teeth. I don't know. I really at that point was like less than giving a fuck.
Was was the whole idea to get the gold to make this creature, or she was
Yeah,
getting
she had
the
to get the
gold
gold to make the creature, so the creature could steal the Zeo Force cube out of the center of the Earth, and she could take over the Earth. That was the point. And so there's like a bunch of like Dawson's Creek angsting for like the first hour and a half of the movie. And, you know, they're just talking about how all the kids are fucked up. It was kind of like a Breakfast Club vibe, only not as fun and witty. Just really boring.
Was it just too heavy? Just too heavy,
It
huh?
wasn't just heavy. It was like Chronicle without the coolness. It was just so lame. The whole thing was so lame.
You know, there was a quote they had out there with who's the creator behind this? Is it Saban?
Yeah, I guess that's the
Saban?
company that did it. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a quote from him going. It goes, if I recall, like if this goes really well, and you know we've got 5 more that are coming after this. You know, they got a 6-story arc, 6-movie arc.
Well, it made some decent money, so I imagine that they can continue on with their franchise. I don't think that it was, you know, a financial disappointment in at least that case. So good for them, I guess. I won't be
Well,
watching
this
the
might be
next
like
one.
that Divergent series. It might start strong, but kind of just like flutter.
I,
You know,
I
maybe
mean,
it's
I don't know if you
maybe
can say it's strong. I mean, financially, maybe. Yeah. I don't know what I expected. I mean, of course, I've seen the Power Rangers off and on. I was obviously a little too old for the appeal of it when it first came out, but I was aware of it. But the trailers really sort of made it look like it had a more grown-up vibe to it. That's odd hearing me say that I want my superhero movies to be more grown up. But there's some place between the Dark Knight trilogy and um, Catwoman that I find to be the happy spot, and this one was like way on the other side of Catwoman to me.
okay. Well, at least you tried it out, though. Did you
I
like any
did.
of the actors outside of the Power Rangers, the 5 Power Rangers? Did you like them?
Not really.
Oh,
They were all
okay.
very like plain and boring and didn't really have any personalities.
You know, I saw them on like the Today Show. You know, they were out there pushing the Power Rangers movie, and I
Right.
was just looking at them, and I just sat there. They started talking, you know, all the standard questions of about your stunts and about the movie, and they came across as very shy and dull.
Well, they're young. I mean, you know, I wouldn't hold it. I
Yeah,
wouldn't say anybody in there deserves to be burned at the stake for how horrible they were, but I don't know if any of them have shining bright careers ahead of them either.
listen, I don't blame them. I blame the material and the direction. That's how I
Well,
would
again,
feel
it's
about it.
kind of my own fault. I mean, like I said, what did I actually expect? I guess the trailers in this case sort of sold me something I feel like the movie didn't deliver on.
Yeah.
So,
Did you see anything that actually you did sit through and watch all the way through?
no. Well, actually, I watched Alice in Wonderland again because I had started watching Through the Looking Glass finally, and it was like kind of confusing. So I was like, well, maybe I just need to go watch the first Alice again. So I did, and then decided it wasn't worthy of being on my collection. So then I just pulled them both and put them in the sell pile.
Fuck yeah! That's what I'm talking about.
Really,
Finally,
really,
finally.
really, really. Uh,
You
I'm
know,
so
I
happy that you're
feel like
happy that
maybe I might be influentially like all this negativity I throw out there. Like maybe there's a part of it that's infecting your soul and your psyche, and that you're seeing through the veil. You see the bullshit. You're starting to.
I'm.
Okay, all right. This makes me
Anyway,
very happy. The seeds I've planted have started to grow.
right,
Okay.
right, right. Okay, so anyway,
Did you see
did I
Beauty
say?
and the Beast?
Oh yeah, well that was last weekend. So to catch up, and to switch sides for a minute, yes, I saw Beauty and the Beast, and I loved it. Um, Disney has got this kind of thing down now where they're sort of locking down this ability of theirs to take their beloved properties and stuff that we, you know, are attached to from childhood, and then also rejigger them a little bit so that you're not getting like a direct from the animation to the movie translation, just like sort of what uh, The Force Awakens did, where they take the vibe of the original but then offer you some new shit. Well, Beauty and the Beast had a lot of obviously the original songs and the original dialogue just translated to live action, but then also there was three brand new songs in the movie, one of which is sort of the linchpin of the Beast's storyline, is called Evermore. And I would say I've been listening to that song nonstop for the last week, and I would say it's certainly, if it's not the best, it is certainly worthy of being up there with the best of any of the Disney Renaissance film songs. So, um, so that was a
I have not
surprise.
heard this song.
Oh, it's a
I have
wonderful
not
song.
heard this
It's
song.
really a great song. And when you see the movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about as soon as the song starts. You'll know that's the song.
Is it on par with Let It Go?
Oh, it's way better than Let It Go. It's, it's
It's
up there with Part of
pretty
Our
much the
World
song.
or A Whole New World or the original Beauty and the Beast song. It's one of the best.
Yeah,
So it
okay.
was a great addition to the movie. Um, I love the movie. There are a couple issues I have with it. One of them being that the Be Our Guest, the big musical number, felt a little flat to me. I don't know if I had too high of expectations because that's one of the most iconic scenes in the Disney Renaissance movie era. But for some reason, I always have sort of a pet peeve with wonky CG. That's kind of a thing I have in general. And I'm not going to say it's super wonky, but there's some wonky moments in there with the CG in that scene that felt a little like less than they could have been. Also, just the delivery of the song felt flat to me, like it didn't have enough energy in most of the song. And then my other big complaint about the movie was Ewan McGregor, who really disappointed me because I love him, and I just felt like he did not have a grip on the Lumiere French accent. It kept coming and going and going and coming, and it was like, pick one, either do an accent or don't. But this whole going back and forth with the accent throughout the whole movie sort of didn't work for me. So, but other than that, it was great.
Does the after watching Beauty and the Beast and enjoying it so much, are you going to go and look at and view other properties such as the Jungle Book and Pete's Dragon?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I put some thought into it, and I don't think so because my attachment to those original films is like none, like nil. I, the thing that makes me so enamored with Beauty and the Beast is because of the nostalgia factor, partially because that was one of the first of the Disney musicals I fell in love with when it first came out, and so to see it translated because it's a beloved film for me anyway is special for me. Jungle Book, I never even liked that movie. The original cartoon or animated film, I never even owned or watched completely through. Same thing for Pete's Dragon. So I kind of feel like I'm going to miss some of that specialness because those stories just never hit for me. But they've got other ones that are coming out. Most of them are coming from the Renaissance period, which is from 89 to 99, when The Little Mermaid started the musical animation thing, Pocahontas, Lion King, Aladdin. All of those are being done now. So those are ones I'm really
Mulan.
looking forward to. Say what now?
Yeah, I understand that.
Mulan, yeah.
I would probably recommend that you should probably go back and watch it because, like what you just said at the beginning, though, they're not necessarily doing a direct from the animation to the live action. They're adding more
Right.
things and changing things up. And so maybe under, it may present different things to you as opposed to something old. Like I'd be willing to give these movies a try.
Well, you've seen Jungle Book and Pete's Dragon.
I never saw Mulan, but you know what? I might be willing to give this new live action Mulan a chance.
It's a musical, right?
They actually said I read earlier today that they're not going to be putting the music in it. I thought.
Well, you need an update because they updated that story to say we're not ruling it out. Now, here's the thing:
Oh,
Beauty and the Beast is making more money than God. Okay, it only fell 49% from last week to this week, and we'll get into box office later. But let's just put it this way: they're making more money than they ever anticipated.
so what's
And
your point?
my
What they need to
point
have
is,
music in each one?
well, if the original had music and part of the nostalgia is for them to sort of remix the original, I would not suggest that they cut out something that made it one of the most, you know, loved hits of that generation. I would not. But, they might. It's possible they might. So maybe they will. Anyway, if they
Are
do
there
or don't,
popular Mulan songs out there that I'm missing? Is that what you're telling me?
well, I don't know. I'm not a fan of
Of course
Mulan
not.
anyway. So I watched Mulan when it came out and it didn't go in my collection. So, um, yeah, I don't know. But I would bank on them probably sticking more closer to the formula since this one seems to be working so well for them so far. But we'll see.
Oh, okay. That sounds like a company man. All right. So, Bill, I had dinner this weekend
Well, I hope so.
with Superfan Melissa and Superfan Carlos.
Where'd you go?
Some place called a supper club.
And
You
how
know,
was it?
it's a little bit of an adult night out. Couples eating dinner, shooting the shit. It was nice. It was nice.
Was that last night?
Superfan Melissa's on her way to China. Over
Oh,
there,
really?
she's going. Guess where? Shanghai,
Oh, really?
which apparently is very close to Disney, but I don't think she will have time to partake and view the property. But anyway, we were doing that, and I don't know. Some things came up, but I can't quite remember all the things we talked about. We talked about movies, we talked about the podcast a little bit, and all sorts of other things. What's going on in their lives and blah blah blah.
Right.
I would really like to think about maybe trying to do a guest appearance in the future, another one. I feel like
That's
we've
fine.
gotten a hang on it. I don't know. Maybe for the 50th show? What do you
That's fine.
think?
Yeah. That's 9 shows from now, so sure.
Okay. All right. Anyway, I also saw Passengers this weekend.
Oh, and
You saw that in the theater, right?
I did.
I did not like it.
I'm not shocked.
Why are you not shocked? Why
I
are
told you I
you?
didn't. I told you I didn't think you were going to like it.
Oh, well, I hemmed and hawed, and I thought about it some more as I watched it, and I realized the movie really didn't go anywhere.
Right.
And it came across from the trailer, if you will. It came more as like some sort of like sci-fi adventure, some sort of thriller, some sort of mystery in space. And really, it's really a romance story that's set in space. That's the way I kind of looked at it afterwards.
Right.
Obviously, Chris Pratt's pod breaks down. He's on the ship alone. I mean, listen,
So
spoilers
what did you
abound
think of the
here.
big?
He releases Lawrence, and then they just have a romance on the ship. I mean, that's
Well,
primarily
there was a big brouhaha over the twist in this movie that everyone on Twitter was all a gag about when the movie came out.
I didn't really
And
find that to be huge of a twist because that was revealed fairly early on. Like it wasn't a shock. But go ahead.
how did you feel about the viability of them as a romantic couple after she learned of the twist in the film? Because that's
Well,
what a
they
lot of
played it
people
the
had a
way it's
problem with.
supposed to played. She was just like, "You woke me up when you shouldn't have woke me up. You've actually murdered me, and I'm very mad at you, and I'm no longer talking with you right now." I mean, that's how it played out.
Right. A lot of people felt like there was no way that she would go back to being with him after he revealed that he had woken her up, in the middle of the
Well,
flight.
I feel as though you're taking something away from the movie because the whole idea was the whole ship was falling apart. And technically, if he did not wake up, as well as certain other members, to be able to fix the ship, they would have all died to begin with. So technically, it was a benefit. It was fortuitous that that happened in the story, and so not to mention he set everything right. So she recognized that, and she already felt something for him to begin with, and he saved the day. So I didn't have a problem with the whole like, yes, I was betrayed, and then going back to him. I and the twist, it really happened early on, and you knew, for me, you knew that she was going to find out about it. That's women always find out, and it just was a long romance. I mean, you got Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence on the ship going out on dates and running around and playing basketball. It was very cute, but I was going to see some sort of sci-fi adventure,
It
and I
was
didn't really consider
described
that to be a sci-fi adventure.
it was described somewhere on Twitter probably that it was supposed to be like a Titanic in space. Well,
Oh,
I have to
well.
say that it's no Titanic in space.
It's
That's all I can say.
yeah, there. Was it directed by James Cameron?
It was not.
Okay. Well, that's. I also saw The Edge of 17 with Woody Harrelson. I don't know the actress's name.
I heard it was supposed to be
Um,
very good.
it was cute. It was cute. I don't know if I would use the word very good, but it looks like it's um, the closest thing to use some words you used earlier, like a John Hughes type of film, in terms of the dialogue and the wit,
Right.
and something you can really relate to versus some other slick package movies that have come out. Um,
Well, comparing it to John Hughes is quite the flattering compliment. So if you're really comparing it to that, then that would be actually a plus for me.
it is a compliment. I just don't know if it really hit me like deep in my like, oh yeah. But I can see if I was a teenager watching it, there was a lot of things you could relate to and a lot of things that were real. And um,
If you were a teenager now, would you have liked it more?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
So
But it might.
basically, you're just too old to enjoy the storyline of this movie because you're an old,
Well,
fuddy-duddy old
no, I
man.
enjoyed it. I just don't know if it. Maybe I have some sort of nostalgia from the ones that I saw when I was younger.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
So
but
you're not
something.
giving it the thumbs up on the new Netflix scale?
No, we'll talk about that later. But yes, I gave it the thumbs up. Gave it
Okay.
the thumbs up.
Okay.
Um, we also talked at dinner. Apparently, there was a Jeopardy question out there, Bill. Let me ask you. Did I say ask you? Is that some sort
You
of
said,
ebonics I'm using?
yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I
All
talked it up
right.
to fuzzy microphone.
Oh, thank you. So, The Godfather 2 won an Oscar in 1974. Only one other sequel since then has won for Best Picture. Do you know the name of that sequel?
Um, Let me think about this. First of all, I'm a little thrown by the 1974 date. because wasn't The Godfather 2 released after 1974?
What, you want me to give it 1975? Is that
No,
is
I
that
kind of I was thinking The Godfathers
does
came
that
out.
really change something?
No, but it's bugging me. So let's just get our shit correct. I'm gonna say The Empire Strikes Back.
For Best Picture, it didn't win
Oh,
Best Picture.
I thought you just said won an Oscar. I didn't realize it was for Best Picture.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Godfather 2 won for Best Picture.
Okay.
What
What?
other
Okay.
sequel since then
One other
has
sequel
won for
since
Best
then
Picture?
has won for Best Picture.
Only one sequel. Now, by the way, nobody at the dinner table got this, obviously, besides Bill and Melissa, who actually watch the Jeopardy.
Right.
They also gave no hints. But I will
I
give
don't
you
want
a
any
hint.
hints. Oh, okay.
Oh, no hint? Okay, all right.
I'm just gonna take my lumps and say I don't know.
All right. Return of the King.
Right. I wasn't thinking that modern. Actually, I was thinking sort of in that period between 74, if that's the actual day Godfather came out, and maybe the
Godfather
90s.
2. Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. But I guess I just wouldn't have really thought that. I would never have really thought of that.
You know what throws me off, and I had to look this up here, is like sequels. When I think of the word sequel, sometimes I only think of the one movie after the original. Not
Right.
all like parts threes and parts four. My mind shuts down because I'm like, a sequel is the movie right after the original. But that's not the definition of it.
No, it would be
So
any movie after the original. Yeah.
I yeah, you understand that, but my mind, I would have never got to Return of the King. It would have never
It includes
registered.
threequels.
Prequels. Well, anyway, we'll be doing later on in the show, maybe our review or what we think might be the best sequel ever out there. Did you have time
Okay.
to look over some of the list of movies I put down?
I did. So I have a
Oh,
couple of things that I think would qualify for me.
oh,
Movies that
okay.
were better than the originals, the sequels that were better than the originals. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's time, Bill. We're moving on. Are you
Okay.
ready?
Yeah.
What did
I
you
like
think
it.
of that?
I think it's
Did you
short,
like it?
sweet, and to the point.
Okay. Well, this is you actually did some work, and this is yours,
Okay.
right? And then there is number 3.
I think I like the first one or the second one. Yeah, I kind of like that one. What's the
Okay.
next one?
Okay. The next one is
I like that one the best.
okay. It's time for oh shit, what now?
Well, I thought it was a great news weekend myself. I know you were busy in between your swanky Saturday nights out, friends and your girlfriend, and probably doing lots of other interesting things. But for us shut-ins, it was good times.
You know what? Our phones travel. Twitter goes everywhere with us. So,
Right.
it's one swipe away, no matter where you're at anymore.
Okay, so what do you want to start with?
Anyway, I want to start with Chris Evans apparently is open to continuing beyond his Marvel contract as being Captain America.
Yeah, he gave an interview last week. I forget
Is
the
that is,
magazine.
is
Maybe it was
that is that
Esquire.
a shocker? Is that a shocker?
It is a shocker because last week he gave an interview with Esquire in which he said basically he's out. Um, because his contract is up. The only way they originally signed Chris Evans, because Marvel normally likes to sign their people to like indentured servitude into perpetuity by making them sign 9 picture deals. All the other stars have 9 picture deals. Chris Evans bucked that and said, I'm only going to sign for 6, which means after Infinity War Part 1 and whatever Avengers 4 is going to be called, he's done. So his contract is up, and he said to Esquire, after the next 2 movies, I'm done with the character. Well, maybe somebody at Marvel heard that or read that And so he sort of dialed that back now and said, I'm certainly open to renegotiating, which means the Robert Downey Jr. plan of pull up the money truck, dump it in my yard, and after I'm done counting all the coinage, I'll decide if I sign a contract again. Right. So apparently he's, negotiating to get Robert Downey Jr. money. Payday!
It's actually fair because when you look back on it, you look at it's about leverage. If you're a very big name, you probably have more leverage. You can sign for a lesser pitcher deal. It was great for him to actually just get 6 pitchers. Now he's able to go for bigger money for a few more pitchers after that. I mean, it's good business if you can swing it.
How much do you want to bet
And not to
between the Esquire article coming out and his quote that he was quoted yesterday that him and Robert Downey Jr. had a couple of phone conversations?
Yeah.
How much do you want to
Okay.
bet? RDJ was like, you know what, this is how you do it. Now, I don't know if it's going to necessarily work in the way that he probably might be anticipating. First of all, Captain America is a big hit. Obviously, Chris Evans is a big hit in the role. I don't know if it's as big a hit as the Iron Man franchise. If you count all the money that the individual Civil War movie and Winter Soldier and the original First Avenger made, I don't know if it would equal the amount of dollars that Iron Man brought into the studio. So I just hope he's not necessarily overplaying his hand. On top of that, you have sort of 2 characters who in the comic books have already taken the mantle of Captain America, with Falcon and Winter Soldier sort of waiting in the wings that they've sort of been building up. So I don't think it would be impossible for them to not renegotiate if he wants too much money and just move on
Yes.
to Sebastian Stan or Anthony Mackie.
There's got to be that sweet spot for them, obviously, right there. Enough where they can pay him more than what he's being paid. And to be quite honest with you, though, to have him continue on, even though he may not be, let's say, his movies are not as popular as the Iron Man series, there's still some value having Chris Evans, carry the shield versus what's his name? Sebastian
Stan.
Yeah, Sebastian Stan, or who else? Anthony Mackie.
Anthony
I think
Mackie.
there's value to keeping him, and not to mention with the character of Captain America has got the super soldier serum, so he sort of has the Wolverine longevity syndrome, if you will. You can keep him
Right.
around for a while. So if he's willing to play the role, I wouldn't be so quick to switch. To switch his over to somebody else.
Sure, but
I would want to keep him in the fold, especially if he's willing to stay in the fold. But certainly we're not going to pay him whatever Robert Downey was getting over there back, $100 million or whatever he was asking for. It becomes you can't do that for everyone.
And they might want to send a message to the other people that, we will totally Don Cheadle you if you fuck with us. So,
Well, I guess that is the message, but once again, it's kind of like who's high up on the totem pole. I mean, there's certain characters and actors. There's a pecking order.
sure, I'm just saying nobody's irreplaceable, I think, in the Marvel
Sebastian Stan is
universe.
not going to be asking for RDJ money. So you may want to ask for a little bit more, but you have to know where you're at.
Right.
So,
I personally hope he does stay. If he wants maybe a reduced role so that he can go do other projects and sort of take what Robert Downey Jr. did and move from like the centerpiece of the main character of the universe into maybe more of a side piece. And then, he'll stay on, get to do his other shit, and then they won't have to break the bank. I think there's room for a happy medium in there.
yeah. Oh, please. This is where the money's being made. Okay, let's just cut this shit right now. Okay. You do your Justice League movie. I'm sorry. You do your Avengers movie, or you do your Phase 4 Marvel movies. You make your cash, and in your off time, you can go over there and do your Sundance Tribeca Film Festa movies. Okay, that's what you do. Robert Downey Jr. goes out and does Iron Man 3, and then he goes and does The Judge. Now he goes and does something else. What is he going to be doing? Dr. Doolittle? Is that what he's coming up with now?
Something like that.
Yeah, whatever else. But this is how you really keep the rent paid, is through these movies now. It's like easy money.
Well, sure, if you are so inclined to make money, but some of these people want to do it for other reasons. I mean, Christian Bale turned down the Brinks truck to do what's now known as the Batfleck role, so you never know with these artists.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, if you feel comfortable and you save your money and invest it well, I guess you can make those decisions. But I mean, if you're not doing anything else, there's been many an actor. I mean, you got De Niro over there doing Bad Grandpa. I mean, does he really want to be doing Bad Grandpa? I mean, come on.
You know, I
All
suppose that
right.
he might just want a paycheck, but
Okay.
you know,
Well, I guess that's good news for both of us then. I think we both are a fan of Chris Evans as Captain America and would love to keep him around.
absolutely.
All right. So my boy David Fincher, who directed The Girl with Dragon Tattoo back in 2011, apparently they're going to be doing a Dragon Girl reboot. So Sony has announced that the next film, The Girl in the Spider's Web, that was actually based on a story that was written by Dave Lagerkrantz. Um, they're going to be doing that with a whole new cast. So there's going to be no David Fincher, no Rooney Mara, no Daniel Craig. They're just going to start a whole new movie that's actually got no foreign creds because I saw there was it the girl with the dragon tattoo, the girl who played with fire, and the girl who kicked over the hornet's nest.
Now, are those stories connected so that those three films form an essentially a trilogy, or is it more like the Hunt for Red October character? Is it Jack Reacher? Is that the character's name
Oh no,
from
it's
the Hunt
Jack
for Red
Ryan.
October? Jack Ryan, right?
Jack Ryan.
Where they're just sort of based on different chapters of the
No,
same character.
no, the one over there. What's it starting? What's her name from Alien Covenant? Is it Nomi Rapace?
Yeah, Naomi Rapace or whatever.
Yeah, I think she starred as Elizabeth Slander in those foreign films. They're all connected. She plays the one role throughout all three movies in the foreign version.
Right, but do the stories are there any story elements besides the fact that it's the same character from movie to movie that you would necessarily need to see one of them to see the other two?
Yes, they all
Okay.
build off of one another.
Okay, so then it is a trilogy essentially. So then
Oh
since
yes,
they're not
they're not
since they're
separate. It's
not right. So but since they're not doing those other two films from that trilogy, the Dragon Tattoo trilogy, they're doing other chapters or other stories not directly involved with those original trilogy movies, just featuring the same character from the book.
yes,
Okay. So it's not like they're going from Girl of Dragon Tattoo Part 1 to with the Dragon Tattoo Part 2, and all of a sudden you have a whole different actress and a different actor playing these parts. They're sort of they're doing the same thing they did with Hunt for Red October with the Jack Ryan character. They're kind of rebooting the character.
yeah, but it's kind of I mean, yes, I mean because the guy that wrote the books, what is his name here? Larson.
Yeah.
The next one that's supposed to be to build off the part two, if you will, is like the girl who played with fire, and then the girl who kicked the hornet's nest. But those stories, when you watch them, they're a little bit convoluted. There's a lot going on, a lot of political intrigue, and it's just to get through it, to parse through it, is I would imagine would be a difficult task to write a script for 2 hours. Um, but to just skip to a new writer's version of this character, it's fine. But the thing about it is, your hit was based off the David Fincher, Daniel Craig character, and it's kind of sucks for me that we just can't see those characters continue on in the same role from the first story. That's the part that's a little
It
bit more
seems like an
frustrating.
odd choice, but if you look at Sony's history as a company, they seem to be like throw the baby out with the bathwater type people. Like, I mean, we're on the third Spider-Man reboot in the last 10 years. Now they're
Oh,
rebooting this story, which only started 5 years ago. They're reboot happy over at Sony, um, and I don't know
that's
if
a good
that's a good
observation.
thing. I don't know if I mean I personally, we'll get into this a little bit later when we discuss the poster drops for Homecoming, but I I'm personally not super invested in Spider-Man Homecoming, and I want to be, and I'd like to be, but I'm guess I'm tired of them rebooting on me, and I don't know how many more times I'm going to be willing to swallow what they've given me and just start over again. I think they're approaching saturation with me at that point. So anyway, that's another.
Oh, you're like Jennifer Lawrence from Passengers. You're a little bit. Your feelings are a bit bruised right now, but you'll come around. You'll come around. Robert
That's
Downey will
fine.
be
I'm not.
there.
I'm not. I'm not saying I won't come around, but in this pre-build-up buzz thing that we've got going with all the excitement for Guardians and Wonder Woman and Justice League, they dropped 3 posters for Spider-Man, and I'm like, okay, that's how I feel, and I don't want to feel that way about a Spider-Man movie. I want to feel like, hell yeah, we're in the middle of a fabulous time, and here comes another Spider-Man. But I just can't get there right now, and I think part of that is because they really rebooted one too many times for me.
Okay. Well, Warner Brothers is back in the news and is reportedly eyeing X-Men First Class director Matt Vaughn to direct dun, 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 Man of Steel 2, the sequel to Zack Snyder's Superman movie that launched the DC Extended Universe. How do you feel about Matt Vaughn, rumored to be directing Man of Steel 2?
This is the problem with rumors. They can get you all excited about some shit, and then next week they can be like, "Oh, Matt Vaughn's out. Here comes Uwe Boll." So, I, Jesus Christ on a cracker, I'm thrilled about this news if it happens. I mean, Matt Vaughn is an excellent, excellent director, and I forgot almost for a while that he actually did one of my favorite movies of his early work was Stardust, and I forgot that was a Matt Vaughn film. I knew about Kick-Ass, obviously X-Men First Class, which he reinvigorated the entire X-Men franchise, and then of course Kingsman was wonderful. So he's one of the best,
Don't
most
forget Layer Cake. I'm sorry. I
right.
know
I,
you
I
probably
never
didn't
did
watch
see Layer
Layer
Cake,
Cake.
but just to say, I mean, out of all his films, I mean, he's probably one of the big up and coming voices of this new generation of filmmakers we've got, and I think that Man of Steel 2 would certainly benefit under his direction. So I'm thrilled about it, and I just hope it happens. Please let it happen.
I don't know if we're going to get here, but yes. I'm a fan of Layer Cake. That's one of my favorite movies. I actually own the DVD. Do people still own DVDs, Bill? I mean, I still have one.
I do. I can't speak for everybody else. But
What am I supposed to do with my DVDs upstairs in my attic? Are there going to be any value anytime soon? What do I do?
I thought you were going to burn them to your Voodoo account. Upload them to your Voodoo.
Oh, yeah, that was going to cost so money. And I can't just want to come up with a couple nickels to do that.
Really?
Ugh. Right.
Why do you keep them in
I
the
never
attic?
saw.
Why don't you just keep them where you can watch them easily in your living
Yeah,
room?
yeah. Anyway, I have so much to watch. We just don't have time to just go back and peruse through that stuff. I never saw the movie Stardust.
It's great.
Obviously, I saw Kick Ass and X Men First Class and Kingsman. And I'm a big fan of X Men First Class. And I think what Matt Vaughn brought to the table, there is a certain Bryan Singer style of directing, and it's very good. Obviously, it's top notch. You can all say the father of the modern comic book movie. But Matt Vaughn did something which I thought was great. He put a new spin on it, kind of reinvigorated it, gave it a whole new look that seemed fresh and exciting. And it just shows you that a director that actually built up the universe, there are other directors out there that can come in and actually kind of do something different with it to still make old and new fans love it. So to actually have him be on Man of Steel 2, and follow up from what Zack Snyder did, I would welcome to see a different director bring a different vision to it, and especially someone with a track record like him.
I actually own 4 out of the 5 movies he's directed, and I anticipate owning Kingsman 2 because he's directing that too, I believe. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So who else do we know of? Anybody else that's being considered for that, or is he just the big name that's kind of hit the
That's
interwebs?
the last one I heard. There might have been some rumblings about someone else a while ago, but that hasn't really continued with like the news stories. So right now I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping to God it actually is Matthew Vaughn. Please God, let it be true.
Okay. You really like that noise?
I do. It's much
All
less
right.
irritating than the other one because it doesn't sound like the
Okay.
speakers have been blown out for one.
So what you don't pay for but continue to use, apparently Netflix is replacing its time-honored five-star ranking system with a thumbs up, thumbs down rating option. Netflix Vice President of Product Todd Yellen explained the company tested the feature in 2016 and discovered a 200% increase in logged ratings. He also said the thumbs up provided a more accurate idea of what kind of film series each user truly enjoys. Yellen suggested there are times when cheap entertainment will receive a low star rating, but will be viewed more frequently than a serious film program with a high rating. Quote, what's more powerful? You telling me you would give 5 stars to the documentary about unrest in the Ukraine, that you give 3 stars to the latest Adam Sandler movie, or that you watch the Adam Sandler movie 10 times more frequently? Okay.
Well,
What
for
you
Netflix
do
as a
versus what
company,
you say you like are different things.
right? For
Anyway.
Netflix as a company, they want the eyeballs is what counts for them. They don't care if you don't like it or you say you don't like it. If you watch it 10 times more than something you say you like, that's more valuable to them. So they're trying to bridge the dichotomy between what people will say and what people will do. Kind of like the people who said they didn't vote for Trump but voted for him anyway. They're
Ooh,
trying to bridge that gap.
getting,
I'm not sure what I've done to offend you.
it's getting all political and shit.
I'm just saying, they're trying to get people to stop talking out of both sides of their mouth. And actually, the most valuable thing to them is what people actually will do versus what they will say they will do. Makes
So
perfect sense
when
to
I
me.
sit down, see, I don't understand this. Maybe you can explain it to me then. So when I sit down on a Friday night after a long week of work, I'm getting a Pabst Blue Ribbon and some pork skins, and I'm just in my robe and my Crocs, and I just want to go. I want to watch a movie. How about I put on this disaster in the Ukraine documentary, and I go, you know what? That's just too heavy. Let me see what else is scrolling around here. Oh, here's something. Adam Sandler movie. I don't know. Billy Madsen, Billy Watson. Let me put this on. It's him playing a buffoon. Oh, this is mindless. I'll put this on here. I put it on and I go, it's not good, but I just don't feel like watching anything heavy. So I give it 2 stars. I don't.
Well, there's
What's
no
this
more
supposed to give
stars.
me?
So you're going to have to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Which would you
All
do?
right, I'm going to
If
give
on
it
your
a
Friday
thumbs down.
night.
Oh, wait. I'm
Okay.
going to give it a thumbs down then. Thumbs down.
Okay. Okay.
And the point being is because I chose to watch this over the Ukraine documentary. What's the problem? Which, by the way, I'm going to probably give a thumbs up.
Again, they're trying to narrow the people who are saying that they like something and watching something else down to what the people are watching, which is more valuable to them. So I guess they're trying to get people to say, regardless of the quality of it, did you enjoy the time you spent watching it? And I think that's an easier thing to quantify when you put it in, we're in the Twitter generation, 140 characters or less is the vernacular of society that we live in. So is it thumbs up or thumbs down, bitches? Yay or nay? We don't want to hear all your in-betweens about how it had the most magnificent cinematography in the world and how, it made you think about your place in the universe. Nobody cares. Did you watch it?
This is we're
Are
just
you
going to
going to
continue to
watch it
dumb everything
again?
down. We're like back in the Coliseum. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Live or die?
That's
That's it,
right.
Tom.
That's right. We are in the AOL, the post AOL world. No one has time for your shades of gray unless it's got Jamie Dornan's dong in it. Okay? So, short of that, then just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. And they're just trying to get people to say more truthfully what they enjoy on their service.
See, well, that presumes that somehow because I'm watching the Adam Sandler movie, and let's say everybody on my block is watching Adam Sandler movie, and they're like, "Well, look, we're looking at our little algorithm here, and people are putting this stuff on," but they're still going to give it a negative rating. Let's just say that 2 stars. They're still watching it, and they're giving it a negative rating, but they're not watching the Ukraine except 2 or 3 people who gave it the thumbs up. So what?
Then what they're going to do is take away the rating system altogether. There'll be no thumbs up or thumbs downs, and then they'll just go to what the people are actually tuning into, like the Nielsen's do. It'll become like a Netflix Nielsen system in which you have 4,000 eyeballs watching the Adam Sandler and 25 eyeballs watching the documentary. And that's what people will use to verify whether they should watch something or not. I mean, they can dumb it down all the way to the point where they'll just take the voting away from you then.
Actually, I might like that a little bit more, to be quite
Why?
honest.
Because then you really become a sheep. Then you really become a sheep. Then you just go, well, if Betty Sue and Susie Chang love the new HBO show, but only Bill liked this other show over here starring Halle Berry with an afro, then I'm going to go with Susie and Betty because there are more people than enjoyed it than just one. I mean, that's
Okay,
the
first of
typical, that's the perfect sheep example.
See, that's the way you look. You're looking at it in such a black and white fashion. I'm not saying a sheep in terms of that this will be the only thing I use to come up with new material or content to watch. I will use it like anything else as a tool, maybe to discover something else that might have fallen through the cracks between all the other sites that I go to and read up on entertainment news. So, every time you go onto Netflix, they're always pushing now, if you notice, like a new Netflix original or something we just got. Every time I turn it on, there's always something I never heard of. iBoy or this, that. And I'm like, what is this? I've never heard of it, never seen hide or hair of it. And so I got to figure out if I want to watch it. And most of the time, there's not a trailer attached that I've noticed that I have to then go to YouTube and then try to watch a trailer on some sort of Netflix show that they're pushing. And if somebody was sitting there giving me a list of going like, well, this, there's a lot of people watching this, and I'm like, well, it looks of interest. Well, if there's a lot that's watched it, maybe I'll give it a shot then. It's a tool to be used as opposed to some sort of just mindless me clicking a button on something because everybody looked at it.
Well, it's sort of the same thing, really. I mean, if 97 people vote thumbs up and 27 people vote thumbs down, how is that different if 97 people are watching it and 27 people are watching something else? It's kind of the same.
Well, it has to pop up, though. It depends on how that information is delivered to me. Is it delivered to me because, by the way, Payne, this is something that you watch, and based on all these other people voting thumbs up, you might like this. Depends on how they deliver that information, I guess, really. Like a Nielsen's rating thing, this could just be a screenshot of what's happening on Netflix. That could apply to everyone. But if it's all different, we watch different things. So
I just think the rating system, the star system or whatever, I do think is maybe not the most valuable thing to them when really what they care about is how many views something gets. Just like the amount, people on Instagram and Twitter and all that, it's how many followers you get, how many people are listening to what you're saying, watching what you're putting out there is really what counts for them. So
yeah,
I do
you
understand
use the rating system on Netflix? I mean, this is going away in the way of April.
I absolutely don't. I never do. I never have. Never would. I don't care what other people think of stuff. Quite honestly, because I am more likely to not watch something that people give a high grade than I would be to watch it.
Yeah, you're like one step away from being like the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. You're over there with your chemical toilets, living in your own, writing your manifesto. I mean, that's pretty much you're a few steps away.
Yeah, it just groupthink bothers me. So I'm not saying that it's always wrong. I'm just saying that the idea of it turns me off.
Speaking of wrong, apparently your boy James Cameron's Avatar 2 is being delayed yet again. How many delays is this, Bill?
Maybe 2, maybe 3. But, we talked about this on the phone. James Cameron is notorious for this. He's constantly
Oh
behind
yeah, no,
schedule.
you're like his PR department. You're like, this is what James Cameron does. He's really
This
just
is
trying
what
to
he does. This is what he does, and it's hard to argue that it's wrong when the man has, made so many smash hit films. I mean, it's hard to say that, him pushing his shit back has hurt his career. I don't know if it has. I think might have enhanced it in some ways, but to a certain point, it does become a little bit silly when you're waiting 10 years between sequels or, between properties. And, nobody's getting any younger, including James Cameron.
Do we know
So-
where Avatar 2 has landed on the movie calendar schedule?
Not in 2018. So that actually frees up a date in December for Aquaman to move into, which was going to be an October date, and now is going to take over the date for Avatar 2, which I think is better for Aquaman, honestly. As long as Star Wars isn't anywhere in that holiday, then I would rather see Aquaman than Avatar 2 at
Right.
Christmas.
Is there not a Star Wars movie in 2018 in December?
There is not in December right now, and we'll find out in a couple weeks here if they're going to continue this, but they keep saying they're sticking to the May date for Han Solo in 2018. So,
All right, because that could be like a death slot. That's a death
Oh, right.
slot.
Yeah, I mean-
you sent me that article on like how the summer movie season is now like starting in March, and
right.
you know
And pretty
things
soon
are
I
in
imagine it's
December.
going to be a 12-month calendar year for movies. For blockbusters.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because you have these cinematic behemoths out there, these movies that people want to see, and you can't have them all next to one another.
Right.
It just seems mind-boggling. You've got to find your spot, stake out your claim, and hopefully nobody else comes like next to you or right close after, because you're trying to make your money within the first couple weeks before everything drops off and a new one comes out. I mean, it's like cat on a hot tin roof anymore.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the whole death of the summer movie season. I understand that with so many blockbusters and tentpoles in a year anymore, that it becomes not, especially if you look at last summer's box office, it becomes not advantageous to them to release all of their big guns in one season. I get that, but as somebody who was born and raised on the summer movie season, the blockbuster season, I kind of lament the sad. It's a little sad for me to see it sort of go the way of the dodo. Um, even though I know it doesn't really make any sense financially for the companies. I guess I'm going to get used to it. It's not like it's something I refuse to deal with, but I just kind of, because summer movies is always like, yeah, I just can't wait for those summer movies, and now it's like, can't wait for those summer movies that hit in March. Feels
But the
weird a
thing
little
about
bit.
it is you're still getting your summer movies.
Yeah, true, but
It's not like they're avoiding the summer. It's just that they're like, well, obviously, if you got Spider-Man coming out on June 4th, then you don't want to have something else coming around that date. So you got to maybe pick 2 weeks after that. I mean,
yeah, it's just
Very
a way of
scary.
adjusting your thinking. I mean, I'm just saying it. I've been raised and born with it being one way, and change, is difficult. So I will get used to it, but it's something that I'm not sure I love the concept of. I do like the fact that we get certain movies spread out throughout the year, so that it doesn't all just pile up on you. I like it as a concept, maybe not as much as an execution.
okay. I mean, look at this. I'm going to pick out June of 2017. You've got Wonder Woman coming out on June 2nd, along with Captain Underpants.
I saw the trailer for that. I don't understand. Can you give me some insight into Captain Underpants, because I'm confused. I don't get it.
I have no insight. I have not even watched the trailer for Captain Underpants.
Well,
I'm
I guess
assuming
it's a thing.
some
It's
sort
like a
of
thing.
child-
Like, is it a comic book or a kid's book or something? I don't know what it even is. What it's based off of. The movie looks god
Did you
awful
like the
terrible.
trailer?
No,
Oh.
it looks so bad. But I don't. That's why I'm saying I don't understand why it's got such a following from whatever property they have adapted it from, because it just looks so bad. I don't get it. Is it just because
Okay.
the guy's wearing underpants and a cape and kids think that's hysterical? Is that what that is?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're a child, that seems kind of cool. Like,
Okay.
yeah,
I
Captain
don't know. I also
Underpants.
don't get the Despicable Me. I don't get those. I
Everybody
I
loves the Minions. That's all
I
you
know.
need to know.
I've seen Despicable Me 1. I did not see 2, and the Minions I did not see because the Minions didn't really do it for me in the first one. So I don't get that either. Like I don't understand why everyone loves them.
Ugh. I mean, they talk like, I
Yeah, they're
love
little
that.
yellow morons. I don't. They're just little yellow morons.
Oh, that's harsh. That's awfully harsh. Okay, they're
I
very
I don't
sweet.
know.
Anyway, you've
Okay,
got Captain Underpants, which is obviously a kids movie, and Wonder Woman on June 2nd. All right, you know where we'll be.
of course.
June 9th, you've got The Mummy coming out
Ugh, I don't
with
know
our
if
boy Tom Cruise.
you know, my husband might insist on going to it. I was able to finally like resist Kong for him, but I don't know if that's going to play with Mummy. So
You're not, yeah, you used up all your cred. You won't be able to get out of The Mummy. Okay,
yeah, I don't
that's
know.
okay. Then after that, June 16th, you've got Cars 3.
Ugh, God no.
Okay. And then June 23rd, Transformers The Last Night.
Nope. There is one movie in June I want to see.
Well,
Wonder
right, but I mean, these things
Woman.
here, it's like you're literally fighting for every dollar each week. There's another movie that potentially can take a huge chunk of your profits.
Do we really think
I don't
Captain
know.
Underpants is going to take a huge chunk of somebody's profits?
Well, no, what I'm not, well, there is going to be a chunk where the families will be going to see Captain Underpants. Yes. I'm not saying it's a huge chunk, but then you have to fight off The Mummy with Tom Cruise. Then you got to fight off Cars 3. Then you got to fight off the Transformers. I mean, it's a lot. So you've got to make your money as quickly as you can because pretty soon, by July 7th, Spider Man Homecoming's out. And then you're off and running. It's just, I don't know. It's
Having a
scary.
limited, you
I
know,
mean, when
this is
you're
where
asking me
having
about making money and these films that make $200 million, you have to be shitting bricks when you put out it, and then all of a sudden you're surrounded by other things that are quality that people want to see, and you're just like, holy shit! You know, we made 50 million, but guess what comes out next week? Spider-Man: Homecoming. Oh shit! I'd be shitting bricks.
this is where I'm grateful that I
You,
have a limited oeuvre that interests me because basically you just named off 8 movies and or 6 movies, and I'm only really interested in seeing 2 of them. So that's where it helps because I don't have to worry about all that other nonsense.
I understand that, but you understand the popularity of a Transformers movie, whether
I
or not we
understand
go
it is popular. Do I understand why? Hell no, but I get that people will go.
right. Right. I wouldn't want to open my movie around the Transformers because I know there's a whole segment of people that are going to be going to see that. I mean,
Right.
I guess it just seems like I would try to open my movie January, February, away from all the things that could take away from it. Like if there was a Star Wars opening, when I look at the calendar, I would find where Star Wars is, where the next Marvel movie is, and then I would avoid them at all cost.
Absolutely. And you know, it's
But
becoming
there's a
a crowded.
Pixar movie.
It's becoming
Pixar. Anything with Pixar, I'm out that or two. That's it.
well, it's becoming a very crowded marketplace. And you know, you're right. There, I mean, the answer obviously is that they're going to have to start spreading them out beyond the summer movie season, which is what's happening, and it will become, I firmly believe, a 12-month season in which blockbusters are released in January, which has been classically a dead period. You've already got big blockbusters coming in February. I mean, we had Logan this year. Well, that was early March, but last year was Deadpool. You know, I
Okay.
think next year is going to be Black Panther. So I think it is going to stretch out. Now we've got, you know, the Thor movies have taken over November. The Star Wars movies are sometimes in May or in December. So yeah, I mean, practically speaking, it's something that just makes sense for the crowded marketplace that we're in. It just sort of put a twinge of sadness in my heart when I go, well, I guess the summer movie season's kind of dead now. Because it's really not about the summer movies anymore. It's about whenever they release these movies, which can be anytime.
You know, Bill, I'm looking at this schedule for 2018 as you were listening. I was listening to you. I'm looking at the calendar, and you're aware. I'm sure you're aware that there's going to be a Venom spinoff from the
Correct.
Spider-Man movie,
Right.
and apparently it was scheduled for October 5th of 2018,
Okay.
which was the same week as the Aquaman movie, but Aquaman has moved over to December.
Right.
Do we know if Aquaman moved because Venom was scheduled also in the same week, or is there
No,
any
because I
type of
believe they moved Aquaman as soon as James Cameron said that he wasn't going to have Avatar ready, and that
okay,
was before they came out with this Venom story. So I believe it's be more to do with James Cameron vacating Avatar
okay,
space.
all right, that's interesting because has there been where we had a movie opening where we had a DC and a Marvel movie open at the same week? Has that happened?
No, and I don't think it will.
Okay, very interesting.
I mean, there was the whole hubbub over Man of Steel versus Captain America Civil War, which was resolved because I think Man of Steel moved up earlier. Remember, they were both on the same day, and there was a back and forth about which one was going to
Yeah, I was
actually
thinking
keep
about
that date. And then Batman versus Superman moved. So I think it's in their best interests not to compete directly with each other. I think they realize
okay.
that.
Oh well, that's I would say so. I don't know. I prefer something maybe longer. It's time for our next news story. Yeah.
That was so loud I could not hear your voiceover from what you were trying to say. What were you saying
Anyway,
over that?
Warner Brothers apparently is going back into the Matrix world. They're thinking
I'm
about maybe doing a
really,
prequel with a young Morpheus.
I'm really cool with this news.
You
The
thought about it
Matrix.
more, huh?
Well, here's the thing. It was initially announced it was going to be a reboot, and that I was not thrilled about. Um, I wasn't completely opposed to it because, as I told you, as a blanket statement, as just something that I'm just completely against without ever hearing any details or how it's planned to be executed, I'm not 100% anti reboot. But if you're asking me what I prefer, whether an extension or a prequel or a sequel trilogy to that original property, would I prefer one of those stories or a reboot? My preference would be for them to expand the known universe as it exists in that oeuvre or whatever. So I am happier with the prequel storyline idea. And The Matrix is one of those, for me, it's one of the best sci fi franchises ever. And I do think that I would want to go back to a world in which The Matrix was part of my movie going routine again. So yeah, I'm good with that. I want to see more of that world.
Okay. Well, I've thought about it too, and I can't say I disagree with you. Um, I would love to go back into the Matrix world. I don't know if I need to do some sort of prequel because there's probably a million stories you can tell out of the Matrix world, and I would be open to a new story with new characters and maybe have some sort of ancillary, like, you run into Keanu Reeves at the end of this trilogy or something or whatever else. But I don't know if I'm a fan of, let's say, a prequel or like a young Morpheus, because then it's kind of like you're trying to you already know where these characters wind up, and now they have to try to hem them into a certain thing, and it just I don't know. I
This is
just
the
don't
same
know
reason
if
why
I'm a
you
fan
don't
of.
want to. This is the same reason why you don't like the Han Solo prequel.
I don't like the Han Solo prequel, and pretty much maybe with the Star Wars prequels, there's a problem that I have because you're trying to these characters, the way they sometimes get written, they're just kind of like they have to act a certain way so the people who grew up with them relate to them and be like, oh, look, Morpheus walks with his hands cuffed behind his back. He did that when he was 12. It's kind of I just don't buy into that, and I feel like it's kind of lazy when the whole world, like you said, you can tell a million stories out of the Matrix. You could expand it. You can do all sorts of things, and I just don't know if as a Matrix fan, I need to see the young Morpheus. I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, but I don't think you have to do that in order to have people still be excited about the Matrix. You know, it exists beyond these characters. And so,
Yeah, but for me, I would rather them tell whether it's a prequel trilogy or a sequel or an in-between-quel or whatever. I would rather it involve some characters or some connection to what I originally liked about the first trilogy. So, yeah, it could be fresher or different or unique if they went and like did a Force Awakens type of thing where it was like more of a continuation of the original trilogy. And I'm not opposed to that either. But if it involved the same characters, I think I would, that's part of like why The Force Awakens is so special because it does have that new generation of characters, but it also gives you those original characters again. So that's to me more special.
yeah, you know, the thing about it is with the Matrix here, what you have to avoid, I would presume, you you can't go back with like you're gonna do bullet time again. You know, they're gonna slow something down, and we've seen that a million times in different cartoons. They make fun of it in different things. They've employed it in different movies. We've seen it. It was very unique at the time for the Matrix. And now all of a sudden you're going to do a prequel. You have to come up with a different. It's sort of like the Death Star with Force Awakens. Like we're done with it, right? We're done. We're tired
Right.
of it. Okay, you can't keep going back to the Death Star. What I'm saying with the Matrix is we can't go back to bullet time. And then when we start doing some kung fu in a room, that's going to kind of look kind of dated for us to be watching here going, we've seen this before. Okay. You better come up with some new shit and some new characters and new stories. I don't want to see a remake of The Matrix. I already got The Matrix. What I want to see is something else. Come up with some new special effects, something creative in the Matrix world. You have the same philosophy if you want to do it. You can even walk into Morpheus into his room and say, you know what, Morpheus, I'm going a different direction. And all the fanboys be like, oh, there's Morpheus. Look, he was recruiting back then, and then go down a different path. I'm not saying you can't give nods to it, but you don't give me the same bullet time in some sort of same room where they're doing karate in it. The shit's going to be like, it's going to come across as very lame and dated. So you got to be moving forward, not backward.
Agreed.
All right. You know what? I can't complain. You actually did do some work to come up with that sound.
I like it. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. It doesn't, meander on, and it lets you know that we're segueing into another segment.
I know you don't like to talk about this, but you knew I was going to put this in here.
I don't have the schedule pulled up on. What am I talking about?
Batman 2 has been delayed. Apparently, Affleck said he was in rehab for alcohol addiction and that he's been struggling with it for some time. And Matt Reeves has indicated he's not going to be back into any start date. He's going to start from scratch and make sure the shit is tight. So what say you? Batman 2 being delayed. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I say if I can get Man of Steel 2 faster because they're dilly-dallying with the Batman script, then I'm all for that. We've got plenty of Batman coming in the next 2 Justice League movies. We've already got him in Batman vs. Superman. I would rather see more Henry Cavill's Superman anyway, because they've rebooted Batman enough where I'm not off the character, but it's less of a urgency for me to see another one, no matter how good it is, because I'm a little over familiar with that character at some points, I think. So,
Okay.
if Matt Bond can get his shit together in a shorter schedule than Matt Reeves and Ben Affleck, then hey, I'd rather have Man of Steel 2 first. So good for them. I hope it works that way.
You know, it's interesting, Bill. You probably read a lot more articles on this, and I need to find some more on them. But it's fascinating that the studios, like, they come up with the calendar, they have a schedule, and they would like to keep to it. And then when these things start to fall apart, I sense some sort of like, we don't want to change the dates. But these dates seem to be arbitrary in a sense. Am I wrong?
I don't think so. I think the studios have a long-term plan as far as when and why they release certain things at certain points or periods of the year based on trends or based on past successes they've had in that time frame. So, and also these things are behemoths. I mean, they're huge, huge productions, which is why they call them tentpoles. Um, it goes beyond the actual movie itself. It goes into the print and advertising campaigns. It goes into booking the stars on talk shows. It goes into planning premieres all over the world. So they're huge productions, and they probably do take some scheduling advancements to sort of lock everything down into place. And so when they do end up having to move something, it probably does create lots of headaches for people. I imagine it does. I mean, we have no idea all of the little many moving parts that go on behind the scenes of a release of a movie. But with something that costs 200 and 250 million dollars, you better believe that they're trying to make sure that they got their shit on lock before they put it out there.
Yeah, I would think that if you're going to put out a calendar of the next 5 or 6 movies you want to do, then I think you really have to have everything lined up before you do that. Then I think
Well,
that's
sure,
just
but
what I guess the bottom line.
yeah, you want it lined up, but there's also, I mean, look at the thing with Rick Fukuyama. You never know when. I mean, I would almost say I would rather them though just not
Has
announce the
Disney
shit.
missed a date? Has Disney missed a date?
Disney's kind of a special circumstance, first of all,
Why
because
is it a
Disney,
special circumstance?
it's the most
this-
successful company in the world. It's the
You're acting
biggest multimedia conglomerate that's ever been known to man. Okay,
You're,
so
you're acting like Warner Brothers is not Bob's Antique Store. Okay?
no, but Warner Brothers
This
is no Walt Disney company either. So there are tiers and levels.
What are you talking about? They're a business. They've been doing this for years. They're a billion-dollar company. They have high-end people working on this. What's the?
Who do you
This
think
not
is
a-
better off? Do you think the stockholders of Disney or the stockholders of Warner Brothers are richer? Which one do you think?
Okay, they're richer, but what I'm saying is you have competent. It's Apple versus Google. Okay, I mean
Also-
they're both competent individuals, companies doing their stuff. One
The
seems
issue-
to have it down pat, and the other one seems to be scrambling a little bit.
The issue
But,
is success breeds the ability for you to have that kind of authority over your properties. When you have a company that owns businesses, not only their own Disney proper, but they own Pixar, they own Marvel, they own Star Wars. So all of these properties are basically working on all cylinders right now. Their shit's on lock. Every time they shit sideways, gold bullions cubes fall out of their asses. So that kind of thing allows them to sort of have the authority to say, if you don't like what we're doing, get out. Because we're doing what we're doing. Whereas other people, these yuppity yups like Rick Fukuyama, want to come in and act like they're some kind of auteurs and God's gift to directing and want to have it their way. And what Warner Brothers is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We want to give you some freedom, but we're also trying to listen to people who say they didn't like this aspect of what we did. So we're trying to, shore up our little, we're not on the level of Disney. We're not on the level of Pixar. We're not on the level of Star Wars where everything we put out turns to solid gold. Our footing's a little bit shakier. So we're trying to find our place in that, where we land in that, and we need you to cooperate. And these people are like, fuck you, I don't need this. I'm an auteur. I'm out the door. Okay? So they walk. Then what are they going to do? They're either going to hire Uwe Boll or some hack to come in, get it done for the release date that's already on lock, and then release it, and it turns into Green Lantern, where everybody is bitching and everybody's displeased because they say the studio rushed the project through and it wasn't ready to go. Or they come off of the release date and they say, we're going to take our time to do it right and hire the best people for the project. The only thing I see wrong about this is that I wish they wouldn't release these dates so far in advance until they're on more solid footing, like Disney, where they can say, our shit's on lock, no one's walking out the door because they don't get their way, and we're going to release it on that date.
That's exactly what I'm saying. If you're going to release a date, make sure you have it all locked up. That's
I
all.
think that they thought
Have
that
the
they did.
board, the contract signed, and that you're like, we have the script ready to go, and then you sit there and release the next three. But right now, you want to be all very cool and sit there and say these are our next 7 projects. They're running before they're walking.
They're putting a little of the cart, yes, before the horse. Yes, and I think that's a problem. And I think they might have realized that, which is why it's been months and months since Rick Fukuyama dropped out of Flash, and we haven't heard hide or hair about when they're redoing it. So I think they are sort of taking that approach now, where they're going, you know what? Before we announce somebody, we're going to make sure the shit's on lock.
Okay, fair enough. Speaking of Disney, CEO Bob Iger says Disney has Star Wars plans into the 2030s? Really?
Well, they said the next decade and a half. We're already almost at 2020, so.
God damn. God damn.
Listen, I don't know how I feel about this. Again, as long as the properties remain unique and fresh and offer something that's different than what we've already had, but still honors what came before it, I'm good with it as a concept.
Bill,
I just don't-
we pay billions for Star Wars. We're going to milk this cow.
I understand. I just hope that that doesn't turn into ordinary nonsense where it just becomes rote and they get lazy and it doesn't become as unique as it has been.
I know it's actually a very fascinating time with this because you've got Star Wars movies. There was only 3. Then at some point later on, we've got 3 more, and you never thought it was going to. You were going to get a Force Awakens, and so there's this whole thing of what is it? When was the first Star Wars movie? What year? 1970 what? 1977. And when did Force Awakens come out?
2016.
2016. So what's the gap? What's the gap there? 16
I don't know.
plus 23. 16 plus 23.
You're the college graduate.
40 years.
Right.
Approximately. 40
Okay.
years, and you've got 6 movies.
And 2 cartoon series and some live action Ewok movies. Yes.
Yeah. I don't count that shit, but I guess for the true Star Wars fan, you would count that.
They're in the canon.
Okay. You know what? That's the nerd in you talking. But 40 years, you've only got less than 10 properties. But now what you're going to have here is you're going to have, what, 1 every year? 2? 2 every year? 1 or 2?
I believe they're going to try to move into 2 eventually, but at least one a year at the current speed, yes.
Wow. That's I don't know. It's amazing. It's not shocking or surprising that they're doing it because it's a big machine and they can have a lot of different people working a lot of different things. But I mean, that shit was doled out to us over 4 decades, and now we're just going to be inundated with it every year. That's a lot to live up to. I'm not sure how fans will react. I'm not sure of the quality of the material, but it's going to be fascinating to watch, though. I can tell you
Well,
that.
it's going to be fascinating to watch until it all turns into a train wreck, which I hope is not what's going to happen. But familiarity breeds contempt, and that's part of my caution with this whole subject is that I just don't want it to turn into something that's less special because it's 2 a year. Now, Marvel has done this pretty well so far.
Let me ask you. You're right. You're absolutely right. Let me ask you this. With the Star Wars thing, I know it's a different medium like a comic book. I know you used to lecture me on my comic book taking where I would tell you, I'd be like, Bill, I'm collecting X-Men, and right now I'm on 582, and the storyline just fucking sucks. And you're just like, well, stop collecting the storyline. And I'm like, well, I've collected the whole series. I just can't stop. I mean, by the time we get to 599, there'll be a different writer and maybe things will change and have a different artist, and so it'll be bored. So I'll just keep collecting until I get to something good. If you happen to get a bad bump in the road on one of these Star Wars films that come out in, let's say, 2021, that it just doesn't sit with you, even after you do your thing where you let it sit for a week and you come back to it and you just can't get into it. Will you somehow not include that in your collection, or will you still like it has some sort of value because it's in the Star Wars oeuvre and it might not be my favorite, but I'll still collect it and put it in there?
I have some leniency there, but if something is so bad that I just can't deal with it, I will not include it in in my collection or whatever. If it's something that I just can't get behind in a minute, I'll do that.
Let me ask you with the Star Wars. I mean, you're part of the Star Wars geek community, whatever it is, the Rebel community, and all that bullshit. Are they all excited for this type of stuff? That you got your finger on the pulse?
I think from what we've seen so far, Disney has yet to let us down as far as what they've done to reboot and re-energize the franchise. I think there's a lot more people that are happier now than they were with the prequels. So I believe the thought out there in the ether is that Star Wars is quote back unquote right now.
Okay.
Now, will that continue after Han Solo? We don't know. We don't know what Han Solo is. We don't have any idea. We'll probably get our first clues next week at Celebration. Um, but there's also the Rebel show. And if, for example, I'll take this. Out of the Rebel show, there's 3 seasons. I Some of them feel so superfluous and so off the storyline to the main mythology of the show. I have talked a lot in the past about filler episodes that I've just taken to making a list of episodes of each season that I consider to be rewatchable. And out of those, at least half of the episodes released in every season, I completely find a waste of my time and I will not watch them again. Now, I own the Blu rays, but I put a little piece of paper in each Blu ray box that says these are the episodes to watch from this season, and these are the ones not to ever watch again. So, yeah, I will exclude something if I feel like doesn't deserve my attention. Surely, not just because it's part of the story that is in there, but I hope we don't get there. I hope they do surprise me, and I hope it ends up like Marvel, where they can release a pace of 2 movies per year and keep the quality up.
Okay. Here we go. Bill, I just checked the time, and so we're going to have to speed it up a little bit.
No, us? I mean, how is that possible? We're just dilly dallying again?
We're not dilly dallying, but it's. I'm looking at it. There's a lot going on, and we're gonna. I mean, some of these topics will go by very quickly, but some of them we're gonna push through. I'm gonna put us on a timer, and I hate to have to do that because we talked about sequels. And let me give my little speech for this thing here, because we're gonna talk about the best sequel here. Every successful movie these days seems to get a sequel. It's hard to capture lightning in a bottle twice. So some sequels lean so heavily on the concept of the first film that it feels like a lazy rehash, while others reinvent the wheel a little too strongly, resulting in a sequel that loses its connection to what made the first movie so popular. That's what makes crafting a sequel so difficult, and only in very rare cases, are sequels actually better than their predecessors. So with sequels continuing to be the Hollywood's go-to movie when an original film or concept is a smashing success, I thought you and I would look back at a few sequels that actually improved upon their predecessors. And so what I've asked you is I wrote a list of movies out there, some sequels, and I wanted you to come up with, for you, maybe 1 or 2 that really have surpassed the original. I mean, we've got The Evil Dead 2. You could go the Godfather route, which you never saw. Christmas Vacation, Gremlins 2, Color of Money, Lethal Weapon, Road Warrior, Blade 2, Harry Potter, James Bond films. The floor is yours. Do you have one that comes to mind that has
I would just
surpassed the original?
First of all, I love that you put these show extending questions into the episodes that have the most information and in them anyway. So this just goes on and on. But to succinctly make my point, a couple that you already had in there were certainly ones that would fit my bill. Aliens, Terminator 2 are perfect examples. Batman Returns is another one. Toy Story 2 would be another one. Several of these in here I completely agree with. That are better than the originals. I think Batman Returns is much more of a Batman movie than Batman that I enjoy from my Batman movie. In any case, just a couple more, and these are probably going to be ones that aren't as popular as ones that you put in here. Um, Spider-Man. I know that everyone, the Raimi trilogy, everyone says that Spider-Man 2 is the penultimate, ultimate Spider-Man superhero comic book movie. The third one is the one that I love, which everyone hates. So that's not a surprise. Um, but I do like that one. I did not like the Spider-Man trilogy when I first saw the original Spider-Man, and 2 was better, but 3 is really where that trilogy cemented for me. Attack of the Clones for me still stands as the Star Wars movie that I wanted from the Phantom Menace, but got in the second one of the prequels. So those are just 2 that I wanted to add and mention that for me, yeah, it does happen sometimes where the sequels are better.
You know, I was sitting here kind of thinking about it, kicking it around, and there's a lot of movies out there, um, sequels, if you will. But it has to be Terminator 2 and Aliens for me. And it's very simple. Is when I look at like the first Terminator film, I enjoyed it very much. But by the time Terminator 2 came out, it took that earlier material and it just put it on steroids. I mean, it built upon that original story and just in terms of special effects, um, the story, the direction, the character arcs. You had
It's
Linda
just the
Hamilton's
scope.
character,
The scope of that
the
movie
scope
is,
of it.
yeah, it takes, a
I
minute,
mean, Linda Hamilton went from like a waif, if you will, to being scared to being like a military leader in Terminator 2. The whole,
right.
I mean, it's just an amazing transformation from the first to the second one.
Yeah. The same could be said for Aliens, which went from a relatively smaller, even though, I'm sure the budget was quite significant for its time. It told a more intimate story than Aliens, which had a more broad and, like I said, bigger scope of the story that it was
And
trying to tell, and took the world and built upon it, and offered even more of the story that you loved from the first time. So,
yeah, and I have to admit that I'm actually not an Alien fan.
what?
Um, I know. It's sacrilegious to even say such a
Yeah, it
thing.
is. Bite your tongue.
But Alien is like an okay film for me because what it does that whole what you really have is you have a very cool beginning part, but then the story, falls into you're walking into dark corners and then a monster comes out and grabs you. Each crew member just disappears at a different section of the ship. And that becomes like very tiring for me and very boring. And I've seen this a million times before. It's like the monster just separates each one, you know, separates and divides. But
You've seen it
Aliens,
a million times before now, but when it happened, when it first came out, that was some scary ass shit.
you know what? I didn't see Alien back then, to be quite honest with you.
When did you
I don't
see
know when I
Aliens?
saw it, but it's been a while. Like it wasn't as soon as you saw it. When did you see Aliens?
I
Do you
saw it in the
remember?
movie theater with my mother when I was like 8 years old, and I will never
Oh,
forget it as one of the most transformative movie experiences of my childhood.
yeah. See, my mom wasn't sitting there doing those type of things that taking people to R-rated films. I was
Uh-huh.
being raised properly, Bill.
Right,
That's
right, right. Okay. I'm just saying, for me,
yeah. I didn't see it in 1979. That's what comes
yeah,
in my mind.
yeah.
Um, I probably saw it like maybe a decade and a half later, if you will.
Yeesh. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
But in any
you
case, your
know,
point being that, do you agree then that sometimes the sequels can be better than the originals?
absolutely, absolutely. And there seems like looking at this list, there's a million more out there, but there's a lot. But which is kind of cool though, because at the whole premise of some things for me is that if you do the movie, the original, it gives you the opportunity to kind of like you're laying the foundation. You got to get, you know, introduce everybody to the world. And then by the time the second one comes out, you don't have to necessarily walk them through all the characters. Like you're all familiar and you're ready to go. So you can get into the meat of it and just go with it. You know, sometimes the first stories are the ones where you just got to sit there and lay the foundation. So, I mean, sequels
So
are not
while
necessarily a bad word.
right, exactly. But while we're somewhat still discussing the Alien films, why don't we transition that over into our poster palooza, starting starting with the Alien Covenant poster that came out this week,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
very H. Geigerish, and is I think an amazing work of art, and I want that poster on my wall right now.
Yeah, you see that there's a lot in there. There was a article I was seeing on like the best horror movie website or Horror Freak News, and they were showing like all the different designs within the picture, like what mysteries are trying to be conveyed through there. You
Right,
know, the alien queen at the top. There might be a female engineer in there. There's a
right.
boob. You know, all
I
these
didn't notice
things.
the
The
boob.
poster's very cool looking.
Yeah, it's very cool. And it actually gets me excited for a movie that, again, I'm not necessarily clamoring for a sequel to Prometheus. I don't really remember Prometheus, although I remember I enjoyed it very much when I saw it. I just haven't really gone back to it, which I will do before I see Alien Covenant. But it
Well,
certainly, along with the trailer, has gotten me more excited for that movie.
okay, well, let's just since we're talking Alien Covenant, and we'll go back to the movie Poster Palooza. Did you see the Alien Covenant trailer?
I did, and I really liked it.
Okay, did you watch the Red Band too, or did you just watch which one?
I think I just saw the Green Band trailer, so
Okay, and you
um,
enjoyed it?
I did. I thought it looks, like what you want from an alien movie. There's lots of aliens in there. So, um,
I was very excited after watching the trailer. I think it showed a little bit too much, if you ask me.
yeah, I would probably agree with that. But then again, this will definitely be the last time I see the last trailer of this movie I watch. I do try to stop before the final trailers come out in most cases, and I think that I'm at this point with this movie where I don't want to see any more.
And I think, how do I want to say this? This is what I feel like the Matrix should be doing, in a sense, even though I haven't seen Alien Covenant, that this world, it all centers around, quote, the alien. You have these different crews of different people going out there exploring, trying to find out the mystery. You know, there might be some mention of a company that seems to be running through all the alien movies, but we're not sitting there going like this is a young Ridley Scott, young
Ripley.
Ripley or something else like that. Like I don't feel, even though the character of Morpheus and Neo are iconic, you can tell so many other stories and still have that alien excitement for these movies. And I mean, that's it's
Some
it's,
of
it's
it,
it's not
some of that,
it's not apples to apples. But when I see them coming out with an alien movie, I just get excited about it because I like the the um, the creature and the stories that can be generated from it.
sometimes I have to call bullshit on some of these people though with some of this nonsense. Like Ridley Scott saying that it has not, this character is not related, because there was rumors on the internet that the girl with the short hair in the trailer is either Ripley's mother or somehow related to her generationally.
Oh,
And
okay.
Ridley Scott came back and said, "Oh no, she's her own character. We don't want to be like that spot on with it," which is fine. But then why cast somebody who looks exactly like Ripley if you want her to be totally different? I don't. I just want to go. You know what? Just fucking make her. If you're gonna make her look like that, people are gonna draw that obvious conclusion that she might be related to Ripley. If you don't want that conclusion, cast somebody else.
Ridley has gone on to say if Alien Covenant is successful, and then the next one after that, he's got about 3 more in the making. So we're talking 5 Alien movies. Now Ridley Scott is damn near 80, so I don't know how this is all going to work, but
Listen, Ridley Scott has finally gotten the memo that nobody cares about the original properties anymore. And it's all about expansions of franchises, sequels, prequels, in-betweenquels, and whatever. So he's ready to just roll it up and say, you know what? This is what you people want. This is what you'll get. I'm all good with it.
He-
Because
He's like,
frankly,
fuck it. He's in Cannes. He's just like, I just need to relax and order some drinks. Here's my Alien script for the next 3 to 4 movies. Let me collect my paychecks and relax.
yeah, I'm not going to be that cynical about it, but I am going to say he has figured out the formula to putting asses in seats is not about Exodus. It's about base huggers.
Face huggers. I'm hoping that these stories become clearer and there's a an obvious roadmap to them, because I don't mind getting into the mythos that you're trying to do, but you need to have a clear direction here before it gets too convoluted as to this is the prequel to this and this, because the people naturally are going to want to fit this into a timeline. We're naturally going to want to do that, and so I hope they have an order in place and a story that we can all follow without sitting there raising our eyebrows going, you know what is this? Because to be quite honest with you, you don't want to have a midichlorian situation, okay? You don't want to have that here in the Alien thing. You want to tell something where it's a backstory where people are like, they accept it and they move on. You don't want to have something else going on going, well, the engineers happen to be celestial beings who were, you're going to, because the people are like, what?
Well, the Alien, people complain about the X-Men chronology and how complicated and convoluted and in continuity, whatever that word is,
Yes.
it is. But the Alien world is just as bad, if not worse, as far as continuity and the back and forth and the we're not sure exactly how the rules work in
How
this
so?
universe. So,
How so?
well, I mean, because if you count Alien versus Predator, you have to sort of fit that in there. You have to sort of
Okay.
fit in, I don't like the second Alien versus Predator movie, and it's been said that they're not canon, but they are Alien movies, so it confuses me. Um, Also, Prometheus, which is a prequel to Alien, but somehow doesn't have any aliens in it, then is somehow connected to Alien Covenant, which is a prequel to the original Alien, but might be somewhat removed from Prometheus. I don't know. It gets a little convoluted. So,
That's what I mean. I just need them to have a roadmap for it now. Okay, if we're gonna
right,
think about
I do
doing,
hope that they have some kind of like end game in mind where if you're going to
yes,
release 6 Alien movies, fine, but can it make some kind of like cohesive storyline at the end where it doesn't sort of write over itself,
absolutely.
and,
That
and confuse you further?
I'm
So.
willing. I can be very forgiving, but if you're going to be doing this, there has to be a plan. Has to be a plan. Okay. So we got another 3 posters from Spider-Man: Homecoming. I know you love them. You've already got them, and you've hung them up on your wall.
I have not, of course, but I do like them a lot. I like it's a translation of a comic book character, and I like the drawing, the art of translating that character into real life, but sort of still nodding towards the original comic with the artist rendering of the character on the poster versus like a Photoshop of a real live actor in a suit. I just think it's neat to translate that way. And um, these posters sort of give a flavor to the Spider-Man that they're really doing sort of like teen movie with him with the headphones and sitting in front of the Avengers Tower. And then, I mean, I'm just surprised that all 3 of them came out at once. Um, but then you have him clinging to the side of the building and the other one on the street sign, which is pointing to, I mean, it just looks very colorful for one, very fun. And, I do think it gives a nod to sort of the teen storyline they're going with the movie. So
It seems to fit the tone that they want to be pushing. I find that the
again,
posters are actually the one where he's hanging on the side
you're right.
of the building, of the Avengers Tower. Um, it's it's a cool looking poster, and I
Listen, the
think it does
posters for
fit the
Amazing
sort of the
Spider-Man 2 were
teen.
cool too. They did the same sort of style with those posters. So I don't have a problem with Spider-Man 2, but all I'm saying is I want to see them I hope it works for me where I understand why we had to go through all this reboot again. Because from the trailer that we've seen, and hopefully the word on the internet is today, the Spider-Man trailer, the next Homecoming trailer is going to drop tomorrow. So that will be cool if it happens. I just hope that they put something in it, if it does, to show me why we needed to reboot this character again. Because again, of all the movies I'm excited about this year, this is not the highest on the list because I've been through this with them so many times, and
We
I'm
have
getting
to
kind of tired of
reboot
it.
it again because you put fucking what's his face in there, Electro, in the goddamn movie, acting like a buffoon. That's why you had to
Okay,
reboot.
fine. How about you just don't put Electro back in the movie then, but you don't throw out the actor who actually
You know what?
embodied the
Somebody's
character
going
well?
to pay the price for making such an asinine decision, and that's what you get. The price you pay is you get a rebooted Spider-Man. That's the price,
Okay,
Bill.
that's
That's the
fine.
price.
Well, you know what? That's fine. I just hope, as a fan of all of the Spider-Man movies up to this point, that they demonstrate to me without offending me why they felt like this one was necessary.
I
This
don't. I
movie,
don't
of
think
all the movies
anybody
coming out,
had. I'll speak for the rest of the sheep out there. I don't think anybody had a problem with Andrew Garfield, or what was it, Emma Stone?
yeah.
Yeah, nobody had a problem with that. I think they were strong characters, and we liked the first Amazing Spider-Man.
Here's who had a problem with
So,
it: Marvel Studios. So, they threw it all
all
out.
right, all right. Before, we're not going to get into the next one on the script because we'll flow into the trailer from there. But we have 10 retro-inspired trading cards from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Did you see any of these? Did you click on these links at all, or have you seen them on
Yeah,
your
I did.
Twitter feed? Okay.
Yeah.
I think they are cool in that I like the whole sort of retro vibe, sort of 80s thing that they're going in with this movie.
Where
And
do you
making
even
them
get
look like
trading cards anymore? Do I have to go to the comic book store to get trading cards? Where do I get trading cards?
I think they sell them at probably the comic book store. I'm sure that I've seen them at Target many times. Um,
Are
then they
these
have
going to be
apps or whatever.
valuable sometime like 5 years later? Will I be able to sell these on eBay for 50 times their value?
I don't know. All I'm saying is it's a cool nod on the posters, okay? That they have like a throwback to stuff that we knew as kids. And that's sort of part of the vibe that they're doing with this whole, that's part of the Guardians of the Galaxy thing with the Walkman and the 70s and 80s songs. So I just liked them. I thought they were cool.
Okie dokie. All right.
Then they put out another one today, which looks like an old album cover. So that one's cool too. I'm a fan of all of these posters, so
Are you going to be buying the trading cards?
I probably won't. But I will be buying the poster.
The poster to put in your poster frame.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What do you do? I mean, for the audience out there, Bill has a poster frame that costs more than my car.
It does
And
not.
so you buy posters and you place them in there. That's why you have such high security down there. But
Right.
anyway, you put the poster in for the upcoming movie that we're going to go see or anything else like that. What do you do with the poster after we see the movie and after it's over? I know you
Take
don't
it down.
frame everyone in your house, so what do you do with it?
Take it down and put it back in the tube. Maybe one day
Okay,
I'll
so
sell them or just hold on to them.
oh, okay. All right. It's really, I mean, you really are just one of those. When they say like you take every day or live every day, you certainly seem to do that a little bit with some of this shit.
Well,
You know.
I mean, it's the focal point of my bedroom, and my bedroom is the focal point of my life because it's my man cave, if you will. So,
Yeah.
I like to have it, you know,
All
I
right.
like to.
Well, here we're all the way into our show, 97% into our fucking show, and now we're just getting into the Justice League posters and trailer. Anybody
Okay.
that's actually sitting here that wanted to hear this nonsense, they're just like, "Fuck! I gave up an hour and a half ago." Okay.
So the big,
Do you
big,
think we
big,
should
big.
we should front load our podcast with some of the more arguably things that seem to be very exciting for both you
Late
and me?
breaking?
Front load. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it would hurt. I think we should probably have started with that, but if people don't want to
You
listen
know
all the
what?
way
Maybe in
through,
episode 42 we'll front load it and we'll save some shit for like Netflix and Disney's um, assets and liabilities discussion later on. Anyway, Justice League posters. You have to be
okay.
excited.
I was thrilled. I think they're awesome. We got an individual character poster, which they dropped like all during the day on Friday and Saturday. Batman, Aquaman, The Flash, Wonder Woman, and Cyborg. And then they, at the end of that, they released all of them together on the first teaser poster. And this is exactly the marketing I want for this movie. This is such a departure from what they've done in the rest of the DCEU, except for Suicide Squad, which did have some very colorful and very cool posters. But the Man of Steel posters blew chunks out of my ass. They were all drab and fuzzy looking, and if you go back and look at them, they're not aesthetically pleasing. And the Batman versus Superman posters really weren't all of that aesthetically pleasing. I was really disappointed with the simple photography and dreary looking scenery in those. But these posters are bright and colorful, and this is exactly spot on of what I want. I want to see them in action poses, looking badass, ready to kick some ass. Love them. Love them.
I viewed these posters, and I'm a very fan of just a single picture, a single pose, and I don't know, a dramatic background, if you will.
Right.
These are probably some of the cooler DC posters that have come out for their superhero movies.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
agree.
it's a good start for a movie that should be making $1 billion.
Let's hope. God be
Oh.
with us.
No, it should be, but okay. So then we come to the coup de grace. The coup de grace. The Justice League trailer. I contacted my nephew, and I was like this. What comes out today? And he's like, "What comes out today?" And I'm just wanted to smack him in his face. I mean, what you're that age. What else are you doing besides being on Twitter and watching television? I mean, what else you got? You're not
he
dating.
is an old soul. So maybe he's got other things on his mind.
Benjamin Button's over there reading War and Peace. Yeah, okay, that's
wow.
Anyway, but I told him about it, and he got very excited to know that the Justice League trailer was dropping.
I mean, doesn't this kid have Twitter? Don't they have Twitter at his house?
That's what I'm saying. It's like he's using like some sort of like corded phone. I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, so the trailer dropped, Bill.
Okay. 98% fresh on a tomato meter. 2% we're not too sure about. There's a couple things some of the CG with the parademons. Again, look, we're 8 months out of the movie, so the CG has plenty of time to be finalized. This might be early, CG effects, but some of it just doesn't look quite right to me. But that's just 1 or 2% of the 98% that was fantastic. I mean, here's what a superhero movie needs to do. Deliver some superpowers, Netflix. That's what it has to do. It needs to show you action, 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 action. And that is what this trailer was all about. I loved the effects for Flash, where, again, with the TV show, I never quite felt like they were up to snuff. But in this movie, like in that one scene where he like goes through the Speed Force and he's like, somebody's trying to hit him with something or fire a gun at him, and he sort of flash speeds all around the room. That was just badass. You've got Aquaman flying through the air. You've got Batman doing some kind of flip where he lands and throws the Batarang at something. You've got Wonder Woman, which this is what I call hair porn. Like a lot of people said in Man of Steel, when Superman comes out of the Fortress of Solitude ship, and the cape is sort of like all flowy, and it's almost, they call it cape porn, because it's very like the cape is making love to the camera. Well, this is what Wonder Woman's hair does in this trailer. Hair porn. It's like a slow motion shot of her hair like flipping as she's getting ready to kick somebody's ass. It's just amazing. It looks super great, and I'm so pumped.
I enjoyed the trailer. I don't know what percentage I would give it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as you.
Shocker.
Um, but there were a lot of good things in it. I don't have a number to put on it. The parademons in there. I'll start off with my weak points. I'm concerned about the parademons, but I'll take your word for it that there's a lot of work still to be done on the movie. I'm hoping what I don't get from them is what I'm probably going to get is sort of like an Avengers thing where they're just sort of like they're just fodder. They're just like little ants to be crushed for the superheroes.
Right.
There's like a million of them flying around, all like faceless robots. And we've done this a couple of times with the Avengers right now. But I mean, obviously they have to fight somebody and work as a team. But I just hope there's just not cannon fodder. And that scene where you saw the Amazons charging against them,
Hmm.
that right there, I think I'm a fan of the Amazonian women fighting. Okay, like I wish they didn't show that to me, but I would imagine that would be very cool to sit there and go like this. There's a lot of these. How are we going to fight all those? And then have these Amazonian women roll out. I mean,
Right.
that alone, I know that's not part of the Justice League, if you will, the team, but that whole thing sounds like a comic book world to me, where like every superhero sitting there going like, "I've bitten off more than I can chew, and this looks like this is going to be the end of me." And then you turn the next page in a comic book, and then you've got like 15 other heroes that arrived on the scene and going, "Did you need help?" And you're like, "Oh shit!" You can't wait
Well,
for the
right,
next
but
issue.
I agree with you. That is one thing that they might have wanted to have saved for the movie. Because
Yes.
it does seem like quite a bit of a reveal to be talking about 8 months before the film comes out. But as far as the aesthetic of it and the actual execution of it, that scene, that brief scene that we saw, reminds me a lot of like when the elves arrive at Helm's Deep in the Two Towers, um,
Yeah.
or
Right.
like
Because you thought all was lost, and then
right,
Gandalf rolls over there, and you're just like, that scene for me still like just makes me just go like all aflutter when that
right,
rolls out.
right,
They're like
you
to
know,
the king.
right,
They're just
you
rolling
know,
through.
or
They're
even the
rolling through.
epilogue or the prologue for Fellowship of the Ring when they're fighting Sauron, and all the elves like are lined up and they flip their swords over, and then you see like all these massive, uh, armies like clashing together. If it can give me that kind of Lord of the Rings vibe, then I'm all for it. If it can give me
Yeah,
that sort of like that epic feeling where it doesn't look like a CG festival, then I'm all for it. So
and, and
I
that's
hope that
what
it's where it goes to.
and that's what the movie should be, because the Justice League movie should be one of those things. It should be epic. Okay, it should
Absolutely.
go down in history because it can't be like Captain America First Avenger or some beginning superhero movie. It has to be like the culmination of all your best efforts. And you need to be doing everything like, okay, it's not like you're trying to make a bad movie with the other ones. You're not. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to step your game up because you know how important this one is. It's the culmination of things, bringing all separate parts together, and it has to be something more than the usual. And the trailer was fine, but I'm going to kind of go back to what you say, like with some Marvel trailers, that you're not necessarily impressed. But that's just a trailer, and you get into the movie and you enjoy the movie quite thoroughly. I just can't say that I'm per se impressed. But what I did get is the Flash is a badass, and if they show a lot of that Speed Force, it gets me very excited for a potential solo movie with him because
Yeah,
he
I
just
mean,
looks
just
cool.
the
His,
effect
his
was awesome.
his powers are dynamic, and it just looks cool.
Yeah, it does. And it's everything the Flash show I wanted from the Flash show and did not get. This is what I'm talking about when I go, this is what I want to see in my Flash character.
Right, right. Him talking and Batman throwing the star, even though we've seen before, and slowing it down and just ramping up with the speed. I think it just looks goddamn exciting. Aquaman looks very cool. You're right about the A on his front buckle.
Yeah.
Um, and he got a little bit of lines, and he seemed very excited about fighting and riding on the Batmobile. Very cool.
That was
Very
cool as
cool.
hell.
Very cool with the trident. I love that.
What about Cyborg
Um,
flying and then his mask changing, covering his face? I think a lot of people I've read did not like the CG on Cyborg. Of all the CG in that trailer, Cyborg's did not bother me, I have to say.
Yeah, I think with Cyborg, I think the action was fine for him. The whole mask covering his face, I don't think I was per se impressed by that. I think if there was more context, like once again, I think you could probably have saved that, because then it would be like the I didn't know he could do that, and you kind of gave that away for me that that's something he might be able to do. I think that's something that could have been saved, but his costume and what he looks like, it's kind of moving kind of fast for the trailer, so I need to see more detail in it. I mean, that's what I need from him. Like I need
I
to have something that shows me like 4K quality to see what I'm actually getting from him.
I will
But I did
say,
see an article that he represents the heart of the Justice League. You saw that
right,
article?
that's what Zack Snyder, he gave a brief interview to USA Today. So I think he's not going to be, sort of a background role. I think he's going to probably play a pretty big part in the movie. I'm going to say I've only heard this actor briefly in this one part in this one trailer, but so far I'm feeling him more than I'm feeling Black Panther. That's all I can say. I'm just trying to leave it
Yeah.
broad, but that's really how I feel about it at this point.
I don't think it's as strong as this. You know what? I don't think they fumbled it, but I know from like other trailers that we watched, or like Force Awakens, or some other trailers. I know I watched other trailers multiple times, like 5 or 6 times over. I watched this like maybe 2 or 3. They didn't fumble the ball. I don't think they hit a home run for me, but they're in the right direction though. I mean, they're in the positive. Okay, you can't shit on them. It looks good. This is what I want. I think if I were to nitpick, I think I'm worried about the parademons, some shit that you normally don't worry about. I'm kind of worried about that whole thing, because
I'm worried about the CG of it. I think
this is like the villain where we have with the Avengers and the Ultrons. We just got a million robots rolling around, just doing. It just becomes mindless at a certain point, and
I'm just worried about it looking like super fake. And in that trailer, the weakest part for me was the parademon effects, which to me looked like maybe a cheap version of the insects from episode 2, which was,
yeah.
20 years ago almost. So, I just want them to perfect those so that it looks a little bit more believable. Because in that trailer, it was pretty bad as far as those
Yes.
effects go.
Yes.
But
Absolutely. Either slow it down or do something. But you're right. You're right. But otherwise, it's a thumbs up. It's a good start.
yeah, I watched the trailer at least 10 times. I will probably watch it at least 5 more today. I'm really
Oh,
happy with it.
you know what I did not like though? This is a huge no for me. Huge no.
Is it the
I
end
did
when they
not
have a
care.
joke?
What's that?
Is it the end when they have a joke between him and Batman? And Batman goes, he goes, I'm glad to see you're playing with people again. And Batman goes, it's temporary. You hate that?
No, I didn't mind it, but I feel like that's not really. I think what's your superpower? I'm rich.
Oh, I
You
love that.
know,
I thought that was
I
great.
think that's a great line. And if you wanted to kind of show your light-hearted fare, a little bit of humor, you could have left it at that. I think the second line of like, do you play well with others? And he's like, temporary. I don't think that was as funny or as original as the rich super line, and so that just came across as being like, now you're overplaying your hand of being too corny. Okay, that rich line was original. I
Mhm.
would grant you. The other line was just like, ugh, you know, it's weak, not
Okay.
necessary. But that's not my complaint. That's not my
Okay.
complaint because I liked Rich Superline. Um, what I did not like, and it's a trailer and it's not part of the movie, but it's a trailer and I'm judging it alone, it's the Beatles song "Come Together," it
I
doesn't
kinda liked
fit.
it.
Come together. It's the Beatles.
It
Really?
wasn't
What
the
are we?
Beatles. It was another band. I forget what they're
It was a
called, but I doubt
cover of the Beatles
it was a
song.
cover of the
Yeah,
Beatles song. But yeah, but
yeah, yeah. Come
um,
together. Really? What are we? What are we like? 82? This is like
the
for your
name
grandpa or something
the
raised
name
up
on
on
the
the fucking
poster,
Beatles.
it's Unite, and it, by the way, it's a classic song, and it's kind of redoing a
Bill,
classic song.
I don't go into war singing "Come Together" from a covers of a fucking Beatles song.
It was kind of a
Okay.
hard rock
How,
cover.
how
It
about
wasn't
you
just
play the
like
Wonder Woman trailer where they like, "Wah!" What, I'm gonna pull up her theme song right now. Okay.
I'm okay. I just disagree with you about it. I think it was used effectively in the trailer. It was a Beatles song, but it wasn't like the original song. It was much more of a rock edge to the Beatles song. And I think it was kind of cool actually, because that is actually what they're doing in the movie. The name on the trailer on the poster is Unite the Seven. So I kind of thought it was kind of neat that they're singing
Oh
"Come
yeah, I
Together."
understand that. They're coming together. It's fairly clear. It's uniting. It's obvious. That's what you needed to have for the fucking Justice League right there.
Why don't
That
you play
gets
the
your
Justice
because
League?
you know what? When you come up here for the Justice League, I can tell you goddamn right now, you're not playing the cover of the song "Come Together." Okay, the
I want you
shit's
to
not.
play a clip for the interest of fair and balance, like Fox News. I want you to play a clip then of the song that was played in the trailer. And if I can find the damn Spotify app on my computer, I will tell you the name of the band that's singing it.
Yeah, okay, I can do that.
Hold on a second.
It's by Godsmack.
Yes, it is Godsmack.
Joker, he just do what he please. And no shoe shine, he got
Hold on.
Coca-Cola. One thing I can tell you is you got to be free. Come together right now over me.
I liked
Are
it.
you Are you rocking over there?
I am. I like it. I thought it was cool.
That's the whiteness in you from that Catholic school you went. That's what that's exactly what
Okay.
that says right there. That's from living in the 90210. That's why
Right.
you're sitting there going. You're just shaking your long hair up and down, going like, "Yeah, come together." I love it.
I thought it was
Okay.
cool. I will say another complaint I have about the trailer, though. You know, the beginning where you have Batman sort of looking over the cliff at the fishing village before he goes to see Aquaman. He's got the sort of same snow parka that, and I guess it's a nod maybe or an homage to Empire Strikes Back with Han Solo and the Tauntaun, but it didn't feel as much as an homage as sort of a ripoff. So I hope maybe it doesn't come off like that in the movie. But the instant I saw him on that horse, I thought this is Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back.
Mm,
So
okay.
anyway, that's just
Well-
another nitpick. But
Well, if you're going to be copying some movie that's kind of revered and considered one of the greatest cinematic movies of all time, I mean that's a good thing to copy from.
sure, or you know
Unless
what,
you're-
we can just do something else and not copy. So
What is that?
there's that. But yeah, I give a thumbs up, way up to the trailer. A couple of minor effects and nitpicks aside, it rocked. And I think it's going
Yeah.
to start changing the dialogue about people's anticipation of this movie a little bit too. So,
I think Wonder Woman's going to change that. To be quite
oh
honest.
yeah, but this trailer didn't hurt. This trailer wasn't something that they fumbled with, I think.
Yeah. Okay. That's a thumbs up. Well, let's head on to, and then we'll get the fuck out of here.
Okay.
Box office receipts. Actually, kind of just even thinking about the Justice League movie. That's very exciting. It's very
Yeah.
exciting.
It is. I'm very excited for it. You know what it is, before we move on? It's actually the perfect birthday present for both you and me, and also a perfect anniversary present for me. because my anniversary is that week, your birthday's that week, my birthday's that week. It comes slightly after all of those events, but it's still within the 7-day period. So happy birthday to us.
Ooh.
Bitch!
Are you going to buy my ticket as my
I
birthday
just might.
present?
I just might, if they ever go on sale, because of course the Guardians of the Galaxy tickets are on sale everywhere now, except the theater we're going to. So
Yeah. Have we ever seen it? It's been a long time since we've seen a movie 3 times in a row. We've done that a few
yeah, I
times
kind of
before.
think 2 times is our sweet spot. I think 3 right back to back sort of ends up I start nitpicking the movie apart when I really don't want to do that. So I'd like to see it twice and then give it some time to breathe and then watch the Blu-ray.
Okay. All right. For the weekend of March 24th through the 26th, the number 1 movie, you guessed it, Disney.
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty
Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, they're just making money hand
It's
over
the second
fist.
week in a row. It has domestically grossed $316 million. Its
Yeah,
budget was $160 million.
Yeah, should they leave the songs out of Mulan? What do you think?
Yeah, okay. I think it's if we're gonna actually go outside of America, it's close to already $700 million in 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
700 million in 2 fucking weeks.
I wish I would have had Disney stock when it was actually affordable to buy. Of course, that probably wasn't even in our lifetime. So,
You know,
but who
I mean,
who could ever think that they would be the biggest company in the world?
hey, trust me. Right now, I want to sit there when you do one of these movies. I just want to get a percentage of the profits. That's all I would ask for. Like, I know you're going to pay me
Well-
some sort of thing, but give me like 0.5% of a percent or something. on
Well, no.
this.
Did you hear Emma Watson though? Did get like I think like 1.02% of it, and she never has to work another day in her life. They said.
Fuck.
I
That's
mean,
smart. You
Yeah.
should. That's what I'm talking about. If you can somehow negotiate that, and it's like certain movies. I feel like Beauty and the Beast. You knew was going to be a hit because it's got such a fan following. It's like Frozen or some shit. You just kind of know that it's going to bring people out, and it did not disappoint. Bill's favorite movie of the past weekend, number 2, opening Power Rangers.
Ugh.
Lionsgate. It brought in $40 million on a budget
Yeah.
of $100 million.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, 40 million is a pretty decent opening weekend for a $100 million movie. So, I mean, they're already almost halfway to their budget cost, and it's only been out for 3 days.
Sure. How's it looking in the ratings? In terms
As far
of-
as like
or-
the Rotten Tomato score, I don't know.
Yeah, the people. Well, I don't want to shout out the Rotten Tomatoes, but generally, are the people loving it? Is it getting positive buzz? or what's
I've
the-
heard positive things about it. Yes, I've heard people were quite surprised at how good it was, and people, generally speaking, are not shitting on it. So,
Oh, okay. Oh, we are apparently okay. With
well,
the
I
number
am.
3
I
movie,
can tell you right now, I won't be watching the movie all the way through. I'm sure you'll get it off of Netflix, and you'll call me up like 8 months from now and be like, "What a piece of shit."
Okay, all right. That'll be delayed shitting on it. Kong, Skull Island, Warner Brothers pulled in another 14 million to bring its total gross domestically 133 million. Its budget in its 3rd week, 185 million. But
Wow.
apparently, it's doing like gangbusters over in China, and we're up to worldwide $392 million.
And now you know why China box office is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can't survive on domestic. It's only brought in 133. It wouldn't be able to get its 185. You got to be able to bring in the foreign. You're absolutely right.
Right.
So, is the word on the street we'll be getting a Kong Skull Island 2?
They're building a monster universe. So what they've done was Kong is actually a prequel. It takes place in the 70s, I think, to the Godzilla movie that came out that was directed by, what's his name, who
his
did
name?
Rogue One? Garrett something?
Yeah,
Anyway,
what is
it's a
the-
prequel, and so the next one is going to be a team up between Godzilla and Kong. So,
Ooh, that seems kind of exciting.
yeah, I'm going to pass.
Oh, okay. Did they talk to one another? Or are they like, yo, what up, Kong? What up, G?
I don't really know. After Godzilla, I just can't. care. So
Oh, here we go. Number 4. This is very funny to me.
is it Chips?
No, it's not Chips.
Oh,
Chips
it's
is not
Life.
even- It's Life from Sony, $12 million on a budget of $58 million.
They should have called it Nobody Gives a Crap.
So when Ryan Reynolds is not dressed in a red costume and cracking wise, like I said before, nobody really gives a shit.
Right. Right. And you know what? There was all these rumors that this was a somehow backdoor prequel to the Venom film. And they would have probably done better if they had released that movie and not this one.
Yeah. You know
Turns
what?
out not
And
to be
if they
true.
would have said it was some sort of thing like Split,
Right.
like that was like this is the beginnings of Venom,
Right.
it would have changed the whole complexion of the movie. It would have put it in the comic book world.
Right. But you can't have
You're like-
everything. Everything can't be in the comic book world, right? I mean,
Well, you
Right.
know what? If you want to only make 12 million, I mean, you should have probably thought about that because you had Jake Gyllenhaal, you had Ryan Reynolds, who's hot right now, and you got an interesting story. It kind of looked like it, but you know, the last trailer that they released for Life, it's as though they gave me the whole movie. It's almost like they were trying to tease me. And
oh yeah, I remember that. We saw that with something. Logan, maybe?
yeah, and then all like this, you're like, I don't know if we're really generating enough buzz. And next thing you know, you show the trailer, and then it's all sorts of things that are happening now. They're like, here's everything we're going to be doing. Please come and see us. And you're just
Right.
like, I guess it just. I mean, this will be a movie that I'll immediately watch when it comes out on DVD. It'll be something immediately I want to watch on a Friday night. But apparently, the people did just not go see it.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I'm not giving AF.
All right. So that was number 4. Number 5, our all pale old man Logan pulls in another 10 million.
Well, that's cool.
That's up to 200 million, up to 200 million domestically.
So yeah, that looks like that was a smart choice for them to put it out. Again, we're going towards a 12-month calendar year, early March, when it really had no competition, especially for that kind of movie. So looks like it's paying off for them, and good for them.
Bill, also opening this weekend was Chips,
What number was it? If it wasn't in the top 5,
number 7.
you know why? Because it's like you said with what was that movie that came out last year that you were baffled about how it got greenlit? Ben-Hur, or you know, what's the audience for this? These kids don't know what the fuck Chips is. What the fuck is Chips? That show came out in the 70s. No one knows what it is. Who are you marketing it to?
I guess us old people who don't go to the movies as much.
Well, there you go. And that's exactly what we did. We stayed true to form this weekend and didn't go to the movies as far as Chips goes. So
I guess the draw would have to been like it's just a buddy comedy film then. You know, Dax Shepard and Michael Pena.
I mean, the trailer didn't look awful. I thought the trailer looked okay.
I thought it was fine. I thought if I was going to go see a comedy this weekend, I would have saw it. I got no problem with the trailer. It looked kind of fresh for me.
Again, you can never predict these things. I mean, because on the one hand, you think, well, who the hell is Chips and how would people know it? But it is still an acronym for the California Highway Patrol, which I imagine they still have it out there somewhere. So the general idea could be it's just not tied into a show, but it was just about the CHP. But you know, that didn't work either. So you never know. Sometimes these things work for people, and sometimes people just go, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Apparently, we don't give a fuck was that this weekend for that movie.
I guess not. And the last thing I'll make a comment before we get out of here. In fact, what I will do is I will start playing our closing music.
Okay.
The Belko Experiment.
What about it?
Oh, I pulled in another million, so it brings its total for 2 weeks up to 7 million. It's a Blumhouse production,
Well, sure it is.
and it costs $5 million to make.
I mean, you can basically release anything for something that costs $5 million and make a profit. That's what the Blumhouse people do.
You know what? It lowers your risk. So if
Sure.
you do have a flop, it doesn't sink the studio.
I think you and I should get involved in the Blumhouse productions. Make some piece of shit horror movie that costs like, 50 cents, and then build ourselves up into the Russo brothers from there.
I feel you, Bill. I feel you. I don't know about you saying make a piece of shit. That's not really a good way to start off making movies right there. Let's just slap some shit together.
If we make some shit for $5 million, there's no way we can't make a profit of it. If we do a Blumhouse production, we'll do
okay.
Blair Witch 7 or something.
Ah, that's what. Where you get lost
just
in
have
the
a bunch
ghetto of the place. How about you get lost where I live over here in the Hellmouth? How about that?
Yeah, we'll just have like Scooties and Ferg like stand in the corner and film it for like 2 hours. We'll make all kinds of money. Scooties will pee or Ferg will pee on himself. It'll be great. You'll see.
Okay. Well, we went a little bit long today, but fuck it.
I think that you should name the show something about Justice League because that was the big news story of the day, and people might want to actually listen to what the hell we think of it, even though they have to listen to an hour and 45 minutes of Babylon before they get there.
Oh, I thought it probably had to do something with sequels. You know
Oh,
what
we
I'll
could do
do?
one.
I'll call it something with sequelitis, and what I'll do is I'll put in our little description of the episode that we get into the big Justice League news. How about that?
Okay. All right.
All right. So as usual, thanks for listening to our long-ass show. You can hit us up at popularcinemapodcast@gmail.com or hit us on our number at 802-35-PCP-35, or you can hit us up on Twitter.
At Pop Cinemacast.
Bill, it's been a good show. We've got about 16 seconds before the music ends. So, hey, we'll catch up with you later. I've been Payne.
I'm Bill, and I'm off to watch the Justice League trailer again.
Peace out.
Bye.